What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Fifth at Night. How's everyone doing? All right, today's episode, interesting episode, different from your typical dating topic that I run here most of the time. We are going to get into the generations from Gen X to Gen Z. Has modern culture created the generation divide? This is a subject by the brother KJ, and hopefully that brother is ready. You know, make sure to turn his camera because it's his subject. So let's make sure the brother got his camera working today. But yeah, from Gen X to Gen Z, as modern culture created the generation divide. So we're gonna get into that today. See what people are talking about. Some questions, some things to get into. You know, I got something for that. You know, the brother, he's definitely got his questions together. So he's ready. And we're going to have a good discussion. Everybody will be here. I mean, there will be more people coming in here shortly. And we'll get that ironed out. Okay. Let me get to the brother. The brother's ready. Let me see. What's up, brother? You on mute.
All right, check. Test 1, 2.
Yeah, you good, man.
What up, Dave? What's the dealio?
What's going on, brother? Hey, man. I'm curious, man. You know, your topic. What caught you of this interest to bring that discussion here?
Okay, so part of I think we had a conversation a couple weeks ago where we kind of touched on the generation thing, and to put it more kindly, I have beef with Gen X. So I'm and I think this is a good platform to have that discussion because we could get nuanced perspectives and maybe gain a better understanding generally across the board. So I'm interested to see who shows up, and I'm interested to see what the answers are to the questions that we both have mapped out. I don't know what you got mapped out, but I know what I got mapped out. And
yeah, we're gonna prioritize yours. It's your topic,
okay.
so we'll prioritize your questions. I think we owe it to the audience to tell people what exactly is Generation X. So Generation X is those who were born between 1965 to 1980. And Generation Z will be the generation that we have today.
It's a new generation of adults.
Right, which is basically from 1997 to 2012. If you were... Huh?
I thought it was 98.
It's saying 97.
How about that?
I thought it was strictly 2000.
Yeah.
But I know that let's see, it's got the chart right here. Yeah, Gen Z 97 to 2012. I'm the generation that's in between that. Generation
Millennial.
Y. So 1981 to 1996. And so I'm in between X and Z. So I have a perspective of, I would say, connecting with both in some way. Like there's things that on the X side I've experienced, and then on the Z side that I experience on the, on the other end of the needle. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm in between that. It's funny that we're pinpointing X to Z, because before the X was the boomers, right?
Yeah.
And so I think every generation has a thing with the generation before them, because I'm Gen Y, and you will hear my generation have a thing with Gen X. you know? And so that's and then Gen X, I have a thing with the boomers. So and then the boomer, and then the silent generation before that, right? So everybody has like a thing with the prior generation. You know what I'm saying? So
I
yeah,
think
go ahead.
when it comes to like parents to children,
Mm-hmm.
because my mom had me when she was 27, so she was born Christmas Eve 1975. Um, so she's Gen X. I think for the most part, Gen X raised Gen Z, and the Boomers, mixture of the Boomers and the Gen X raised the Millennials, but I think it was mostly the Boomers, maybe. So parent to child, I think it skips a generation.
I mean, the boomers would be my grandparents' era. Yeah, yeah.
My grandmother just turned 70 a couple weeks ago. 72, actually.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. You know, when we look at this gap, right?
Hmm.
Um, it could kind of cross in, but depending on how young somebody has their child, it could kind of cross into each other. You know, like say you had a kid at 17. Let's say
Hmm.
you're born 1981, right?
Hmm.
And you have a kid at 17. So that kid is gonna grow up like a millennial, but as a Gen Z.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know it that happens, you know. And then also you have your siblings, right? If you, because I have that. My brother is the end of Gen X. You have four, right? Okay, cool, right?
Four older sisters.
So my older brother uh is the end of Gen X era, but I'm Generation Y, right? But I grew up experiencing similar things that he did. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Hmm.
because he's my older brother, and we're 7 years apart. So I come from an era where everything wasn't digital yet. We were going into digital. You know, I grew up with I grew up I feel like I grew up in a really good. I mean, I wouldn't say. I'll put it like this: I grew up in a hybrid generation because we had analog to digital.
Yeah.
So I saw enough of the, like, we still had black and white TVs at the end. Like, you know what I mean? To
Yeah.
color. You know, we still had the TV with the, with the closet hanger and the tinfoil for the antenna. You know what I mean? We didn't even have the full remote yet. I mean, that came about later on, but it just goes to show you that, you know, I grew up, having an analog and a digital. You know what I'm saying? As whereas Z is all digital. You know, y'all had a longer time with the like the modern internet that we have. You know, Z and Alpha could kind of relate to each other there. You know, I come from the era where, we didn't have high speed internet yet. I mean, we were getting there. You know, I mean, at some point, yes, but you didn't have every house didn't have a computer yet. You know, so I don't know where I sit in this conversation. Um, I'm pretty sure there's going to be something, you know, but in terms of the Gen X representation, unfortunately, that won't be here today. They were all busy.
Dang.
So it's
Yeah.
like right topic, but like the day just so happened to fall on it. And I didn't know this until over the weekend when I started to hear, I'm not going to be here. And I'm like, man, in order for this topic to make sense,
Yeah, because I know Zacchaeus gonna be out
right?
with family.
Zacchaeus and Ray are in the same gen. I mean, Meerkat would be a
She's
boomer.
probably boomer. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but your generation would be Jess, Angie, if Angie was here, and Beyonda.
Beyond is Gen Z?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was millennial. Huh.
Well, let's see. Beyonda's 27.
He's 27, so he was born in 99,
Yeah,
98, 99, something like that.
yeah. And then Jess is the same age, I think.
Jess is 20. I thought she was the same age as me. I thought she was
Nah,
24.
she's 26, 27.
Hmm.
She just had a birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah. So like,
W
yeah.
Jess.
So y'all would be and then Angie is 21. So like, she's like the end of the Z's. You know, she's almost an alpha.
You know, she's 21 and she was born in
2010, 2019, 20.
no. She
No,
was
not
born
2019. 2010, 20.
it
No.
was either 2005 or
Oh, right, right. Yeah, you're right.
I
Oh
want to
five.
say I want to say 2005, 2006, something like that. So,
Okay, that's Gen Z.
yeah.
Yeah,
And she had about 6 more years before she would have been in Gen Alpha.
yeah. Mila.
Um,
If Mila was here, Mila's in my generation because she's mid 30s, and then J Dub. And then she gets here. J Dub is my generation as well.
my two older sisters are millennials.
Yeah.
Uh, the younger three, 27, and both of us are 24.
Hmm.
We Gen Z. So
So like explain like your Discord. Obviously, it's not all of Generation X, but explain your
it's
Discord
most
with
of them.
is
It's
most of
most of
them.
them. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
go ahead.
lie to you.
Explain
It's
your
most of them.
yeah.
Um, my beef with Gen X mainly lies in the lack of accountability with their parenting methods, quote unquote. Um, so I've had this conversation with my mother, and I'm glad I was able to have this conversation with my mother in regards to previous previous things that happened in my childhood that I'm not going to get too deep into, but there was a lot of times where I did feel like it was a bit of a neglect. And my mom was not abusive. Let's just make that point abundantly clear. She was the furthest thing from it. My mom was a wonderful mother. She made it happen, and I'm 100% grateful to her for that. Uh, there was just a lot of the times where I didn't feel like I was being heard, and I think Gen X has a propensity, or had, I'll say, a propensity of raising obedient children as opposed to raising functioning adults. And I don't think that my generation was properly prepared for our adult years. I was fortunate because I was able to take a step back and actually catch up as an adult and figure out what I need to do and have the knowledge. But I didn't get that until I moved to Texas 2 years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things that I should have been taught that I missed. And I'd be lying if I said that my mom wasn't responsible for that because it was just me and her. Now, granted, am I going to give her grace? Obviously, because it was just me and her. But on the same token, when you're raised in a household of, even if it's not as prevalent as other households, still stay in a child's place, still don't speak out of turn, et cetera, and your passion gets misconstrued with disrespect. That's something that Gen X does a lot, and I've noticed this because I've talked to a lot of people around my age, some younger, some older, that have shared literally the exact same sentiment. And what I've discovered is that, okay, this is a pattern. You have a lot of people in Gen X that aren't willing to actually be accountable for how they raise their children. And then they wonder why their children, if they're not out doing God knows what, right? Once they become adults, they don't want a long term relationship with their parents because of the lack of accountability. So, perfect example. I already mentioned don't speak unless spoken to, all of these other things. Uh, one of my biggest pet peeves, one one of my biggest pet peeves, and I gotta run upstairs and get my food. But one of my biggest pet peeves was, you ever heard that it's disrespectful for a child to tell an adult that they're lying? You heard that before?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That I can't stand that,
yeah,
because if an adult is actually lying and the child has the ability to expose that, then what? You see what I mean?
yeah.
That that's and I'll get to more in a minute, but I'm gonna run upstairs. Give me like 2 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead, brother. Yeah, while he's doing that, I think I'm gonna see if I can pull up something. Um, makes a good point. I think we're all critical of prior generations, right? That is something that just happens. We kind of say, "Oh, it was them. It was them." You know, it was them. It was us. Blah blah blah. You know, when are we going to take accountability for what we do? You know, so I, that's perfectly understandable. You know, I think what it is that what is actually being debated, right? Who who had it good, who didn't have it good, you know? When we start who had it good, who had it bad, who had it the worst. I think that's when we start getting into that element of the conversation of who had the most struggles, you know? That could come off any kind of way, you know? So, hmm, hmm, I don't know. I don't know. But certainly begs the question, you know, in terms of struggle. Definitely begs the question. So I just want to make an announcement. After this week, I'm going to be going on a break because I'm going on vacation. So, uh, Fifth at Night will be taking a few weeks off while I'm out the country.
Well
So,
deserved. Well deserved.
yeah,
Where you going, sir?
going on a cruise, brother. It's going to
That's what I
Mexico and
like to hear.
Honduras.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going this weekend. So Fifth at Night will be back after Labor Day weekend. So basically, September 4th. After this, September 14th, it'll be when the Monday show comes back.
Mm.
Yeah. So much needed break from work, of course, and then just
Internet. You need a
internet
break from
too.
the internet too.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? We need that too. You know, need a break from Within that time, I still got to be doing the behind the scenes stuff, but at least I could at least kind of go off the schedule just a bit, you know?
Yeah.
So that's not a bad thing. But yeah, brother, back to what you were saying about a child um, calling out a lying adult. Man, I can't tell you if that's just, you know, I can't say that Gen X owns that.
It was
You know,
probably baby boomers, but we're not gonna act like Gen X didn't coin it.
well, the reason why I say that is because, oh shoot, the reason why I say that is because um, traditions start for generations, right? And
Hmm.
then that could carry on for several generations. So that don't speak unless you're spoken to. Children are seen and not heard. That was. I mean, shoot, we could probably track that to the 1700s. And
Sure.
then it just keeps, and then it just keeps going and going and going and going. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then we can look back at those times and say, yeah,
yeah,
that was messed up. But the difference is that generally in history, you don't apply modern moral standards to previous things that happened in the past because what was considered morally acceptable in the past may not be considered morally acceptable today. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not fair to necessarily pass that judgment. The difference is that when we're talking about Gen X, is that Gen X is still alive. Those people from
Mm-hmm.
back in the day are dead, definitely.
Well, yeah, a
So,
lot of them. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
so baby boomers, unfortunately, are dwindling away about a year. There'll be a time where baby boomers don't exist anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now the oldest generation that we have right now to man is Gen X. That's something that we have to that's something that we have to look at ontologically. The reality is that Gen X has had multitudes of grievances with how their parents raised them. And yet you pretty much do the exact same thing that your parents did to you while simultaneously complaining about what your parents did, but you're doing it to the child that you're raising. That's the that's the hypocrisy that I don't understand. And when you have a lot of people from that era that is adopting certain mentalities that they know was detrimental to them, but they're like, instead of this is what I've experienced growing up, I don't want my child to have to experience these things. It's more of if I was raised under this and I did okay, then my child gonna be fine too. I could raise them under the same parenting method, not knowing that they're continuing the cycle. And a lot of Gen X are complacent to that.
Mm.
So I feel like Gen X is a complacent generation to old parenting methods that have clearly been harmful to their generation of children. And we see the effects today. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit up here and pretend like my generation is not a bunch of sissies. Growing up, um, experiencing being with my uncle for those past couple of years and really learning what it means to be a man definitely established a better security in my personhood. Not a lot of my generation gets those things. And the difference is that I can still be disciplined as an individual without having to use certain parenting methods that that Gen X did when I was coming up, when my siblings were coming up. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that my uncle realized that he had to be accountable for with the mishaps with his children. And he was outspoken about those things. You don't see a lot of Gen X that's actually outspoken about a lot of those things. I'm gonna just keep it a bean.
KJ, do me one favor. So Meerkat and Malika's here, right?
Hmm.
You know, Malika's beyond it. Um, whatever questions you have, after you get done with your statement, ask it. I'm gonna go off camera for a second because I got to tend to the kitchen. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Miss Meerkat,
Hey,
Leander, good to see y'all. How y'all doing?
good.
Hey, what's up?
All right. So while Fifth is stepping away, obviously we're talking about Gen X and Gen Z. So I do have some questions listed out. Let me get them real quick. Um, that way we're that way we can all start off good. So like I said in the group chat, I got 10 of them, but we're not gonna get into all of them. So we will have plenty of topics to go off of just to until we're ready to end it off. Um, so we'll start off with this one. Did Gen X raise Gen Z to be entitled, anxious, and unable to handle criticism? Meerkat, what do you think?
I think it's, if I'm not correct, I think my grandparents said, I don't want my kids to have to work as hard as I did to get ahead in life. So they, in what they thought was a good thing, made it easier on their kids, which created lazy, pretty much lazy generation. And it has just been passed down. So yeah, I think that's what happened.
Mm. What about you, Beyonder?
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah. Um, and I think you and I always agree on the one for us. We agree on the people before us that was like raised like like the 70s and 80s and whatnot or whoever. Like they the people um they're not really held accountable for what they did in the equation of what we are today, but we're the ones that are blamed for it, I guess, or the ones that are
Mm.
coming up. So I would say like yeah, like it is kind of like you know they played a part in it for sure. So I would say yes.
So, Mirka, you're taking the general position that uh when you were coming up as a child, your the generation of parents during your comeuppance, that their general attitude was, I don't want my child to work as hard as I did
Have
in
to
order
go
to,
through, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So, and you think that attitude
it got
kind
passed
of,
down. It got passed
okay,
down and magnified with each generation.
okay,
Because,
okay,
because like my grandparents' house and my house I grew up in was a simple 3 bedroom house with 1 bathroom. We had 6 people. My
mm,
grandparents' house, it was all the small, I'm talking about the small wood frame houses. So that's what I was raised in. But, you know, as each generation, the houses get bigger. Kids grow up in big houses, and so they think, oh, I got to have this as soon as I get married. I don't have to really work for it. And parents have, I don't know, for some reason, I don't know the where the misinformation or the misunderstanding, I don't know what happened, have caused kids to be, they can't it's like they can't take care of themselves or something. I don't know, everything's done for them to a degree. And I'm not saying that's everywhere, because there's kids that are having to raise themselves now. I mean, they just don't have, good families at home. um but overall, if you look at the neighborhoods and the houses that kids are growing up in school or whatever, they're big, huge, what, 3,000, 4,000 square foot houses. I mean, I don't know. Can y'all relate to what I'm talking about? And, so they get the attitude that, they should be entitled to that too. They don't have to go start with a little small house, and work up to a big house. I don't know. I may be on the wrong line of thinking, but overall, uh, uh, there's more kids living at home. They're 30 and 40-year-old kids living at home still, which, I mean, that's none of my business. You can live at home if you want to. I raised my kids to get out on their own, you know, and so they were out on their own, I don't know, in their teens, or I mean, not teens, but like in their 20s or so. Um, I didn't want to, when I got to a certain age, when I left my mom's house, I didn't want to have to go back and live with my mom and dad. And I did what I needed to do, work or whatever, to make that happen. And I didn't, you know. I mean, I've lived in some pretty poor houses myself, Um so that's what I see. I see the generations not have to working as hard as, I saw my grandfather work and my mom and dad. I don't know.
okay. I mean, for
Making any
me, I
sense?
didn't, I grew up, I grew up only child. Same thing with my mother. I say it all the time. I'm the only child that just so happens to have siblings. It's not the
Okay.
same. It's not
Well,
the
I had
same as,
four. It was four of
yeah,
us and my mom and dad. And so I'm not saying my parents were perfect, because they weren't at all. My mom kind of made the decisions at the house, and my dad was kind of passive.
yeah.
Um, my mom was,
My dad wasn't around at all. So
yeah.
there's that. And that plays a big part as to why I didn't grow up with my siblings, especially the ones that that I share a generation with. But you know, there's a lot of catching up that needs to be done with me and my sisters, period. But, you know, we both blame as much as we want to, but I'm 24, so I
Well,
gotta make something shake. Yeah,
y'all are
so
working toward that, right?
yeah.
Well, good. I'm
Actually,
glad. Good for y'all. I got
yeah,
respect for that.
me and it was supposed to be both of my sisters, but only was the other one couldn't go because she had to stay home with my nephew. But me and my sister and a friend of hers went to Chicago about a month ago to go see Daniel Caesar. So
Well, good for y'all. I'm glad.
I paid for the whole thing. I was like, man, bump it. I just want to hang out. So
It was important to you.
yeah, I like what's $1,000? I can get that back.
Yeah, yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
crazy. But yeah, that's yeah, yeah, pretty much, yeah. But I understand where you coming from because you grew up in a household where it was multiple people, so
Yeah.
you weren't the center of attention. It
Oh, well,
seems
no, I was the oldest child. No, I was not the center of attention.
that's it. But you're
No,
definitely not the center of attention if you're the oldest. But
no.
There's some not to step on nobody's toes, but there's some context I wanted to speak to when I heard Meerkat talking about young adults still living in the house. So
I mean, it
Meerkat,
doesn't, personally, it doesn't matter to me, you
no,
know?
I understand as a millennial myself because I'm in between X and Z.
Yeah.
Um, I grew up in New York, so New York is very expensive. I had to
we
leave New
know we
York,
can hear the accent.
right? so I had to if my dream of owning a home, owning property, whether it be home or a commercial property like brick and mortar in business,
Yeah.
that's not a dream for my generation
Yeah.
either. So
Yeah.
before we even get to Z, that's an issue for us in that city. So I had to leave.
Yeah.
That's why I live in Texas now. So I had to now you could credit that to well, Fifth, because you knew that you had the wisdom enough to get up and go. Yes, you could credit me that.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. But I would say that if it wasn't for that, I'd still be at home with my mother. And it's not because I choose to, it's because that would be the only option to
Yeah.
live with somebody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
have to
Share expenses.
so I would have had a roommate in other ways. Roommating with your parents or roommating with or getting married quick or not married and shacking up with a girl,
Yeah.
or living with a whole bunch of friends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if I didn't say, okay, well, it's time for me to get up out of here, I would have probably still been in that position,
Yeah.
So I don't think it's so much about a generation not working hard enough because, I had a full-time, I still have a full-time job. The job I've been on my job for 10 years.
Yeah.
Right. So I
I
would,
started I started
yeah,
working in high school. I was working
yeah.
in high school. So, but all I can relate to it is living in a rural area. I have no idea what it's like to live in a city like New York.
Yeah.
So that's my frame of reference is rural areas where it's not as expensive as it is, in big cities. But
Understood.
and I can see where you're coming from. I totally can relate to that. That would make sense. I can see that. But
I
I'm
have a
talking in areas where the ones I see, in my sphere of sight, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm talking about, where it's a little bit easier to get out and get on your own. So
And Meerkat, I would say I too grew up in a get you ready for 18 so you could spread your wings.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So I understand that. But
yeah.
My mom kind of tiptoed around that a little bit.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was
She didn't want you to move
I'm
out.
I mean she did, but she didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I think the attitude kind of changed after she got married because it's like, okay, Mom grew up a single mother. Mom was raising me as a single mother for the majority of my life. She got married when I was 14, and now it was like it's a complete shift in her life. So it was like, okay. And me and my stepdad didn't really get along all that well. We're wonderful now, thank God. But
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
growing up, we didn't get along all that good. So I moved out 17, going on 18, and just tried to figure it out from that point on. But my mom has definitely echoed to me that if I was gonna stay with her, then I would need to start contributing. And I knew that I wasn't ready, at
Yeah.
least because I mean it's Sterling Heights, Michigan. It's expensive over there. So it's like I don't know. But that was my line of thinking. She probably would have had a backup plan that she wouldn't have told me about knowing my mother, but it's like she probably would have
Yeah.
presented it as, oh, you gotta pay this amount to stay and not actually use it for the bills. She probably would have put that on the back end and gave it to me when I was ready to go, knowing my mother. Because she
She's a
was
good
very financially
woman.
literate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
yeah.
woman.
Yeah, but that's not how I saw it in that moment, and
Well,
it was the
no,
messaging and how it was conveyed
no.
that kind of like disincentivized me. You know, I wish parents were more direct, not mean, but definitely more direct. You know,
Yeah.
Well, I think if you're an adult and you're still living at home with your parents, you should contribute. So let's just say
definitely.
you, yeah. So we could definitely agree on that. Let's just say you
Yeah,
don't.
I agree to that too.
Yeah. Let's just say you don't have a job because I had struggles in my early 20s. I was broke. All right.
I was a single mom, so you know,
Yeah, I struggled. My most of my 20s was just the struggle gap, the
yeah,
struggle decade for me. It was tough, right?
yeah.
But I lived at home, right? So even if I didn't have a job, I still had to at least do home duties. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah,
So yeah, at least, cooking every
yeah.
day, cleaning, all that. You know what I
Clean
mean?
room, bathroom, all that kind of stuff.
Sure, you know what I'm saying? Doing the stuff that take care of the house. I mean, I had to do that. No problem. When I started working, I had to start paying a percentage of the bills. You know what I'm saying? No issue there. But what I'm saying is, I think the issue is when you have ample body adults, right? Able body adults having a problem with contributing to the home.
Maybe that's what I'm talking. More point my finger at is they
Yeah,
don't want to. They want to stay on the Game Boy and play games all the time. And check out. They just want to check out. They don't want to be part of the family.
yeah. I think the contention is when you're an adult and you're claiming that you're responsible, but you're not doing the things that is required of an adult. That's where I think the contention comes in. I don't think the contention is that you are working and you are pitching in, and you're respecting the rules of your parents under that home,
Yeah, that's
right?
another thing. That's a big thing too.
I,
Okay,
I
now,
have contention with the whole 18 thing.
about pushing you up when you're 18.
Yeah,
Speak more to
so
that.
I kind of want to talk about how I came up or whatever, and I'll get into like I do have like a good point on that. So similar to KJ, I have four sisters myself. Uh, but
Youngest, middle, or oldest.
youngest,
Let's go.
youngest,
Let's
yeah, and
go.
youngest,
I'm
yeah.
not
But
alone.
we were all pretty like close knit, I would say. But like the thing is though, right? Is even though they're my sisters, I pretty much grew up an only child as well because they weren't really in the house. They were kind of older than I was. So I didn't have to worry about like, them being in my space a lot of the times. And I was definitely favored for my mom. And so I did grow up privileged in the fact that I wasn't held to the same like duties and house chores as they were when they were kids. Because my mom was a different person back then. It's like she didn't have any seizures. She was like a lot more headstrong and whatnot. She started having seizures a little bit prior to my fourth sister, and then started having more a little bit after I was born. And so I kind of like changed her whole personality, and so it made her like a lot more softer and like not like a force to be reckoned with, I guess. And she was very like not what's the word? She wasn't really like holding me to the same uh level as my sisters. So I was pretty much able to get away with whatever I wanted. Well, not get away with it, but like I was able to not do as much. and not be held to the same standard, or like be treated like a actual like man of the house. So I was pretty much coddled my childhood to an extent. And as I got older, I started to like develop my own like ideology, like what I want to think and what I want to do and how I want to act. Not in a bad way, just like I was tired of like conforming to like, first of all, the black community, for example. I started to have like my own mindset. And I had to kind of like learn how to become a man by myself after leaving my mom's house, because I didn't know how to be a man. I didn't have a dad in my house, so I didn't have a way to like be a man. But I didn't leave until I was like 22. I'm 28 now, so I was out. Well, no, 21. So it's been like 7 years since I've been out of the house of my mom's. But now I'm living okay or whatever. And my whole point of the whole 18 thing, like pushing them out, is this, right? If you have a net that you can fall back on, i.e., your family, we shouldn't push this notion that 18-year-olds are ready to go out there and tackle the world. Because if they're not ready, then why should we push them to be ready? You know what I mean? Like, the family unit is the one thing that Satan wants to destroy, hands down. Now, we should be teaching our kids to go out there and spread the gospel and pray and do all that stuff. That's cool. All that is all well and good. We can go out there and preach the gospel and pray over people and do all that stuff. But as far as, like, go out there in the world and stuff, we shouldn't be teaching 18-year-olds or teaching people to say, "Oh, well, you're 18 and you don't know." Like, no, because they're not always gonna be ready for the world, right? And that's kind of how like we lead them into like this path of brokenness, because you don't have to go down a certain path to be a certain person. You can just not be conformed to the ways of the world. Take your time, like make sure that you're actually mature and listening to people that like you have in your corner, which. Not gonna lie, a lot of people. I know there are many people that don't have what I have, and I get that. But I have what I have. So I had no problem falling on my sisters, my mom, my grandma. I didn't have a problem with that. So it kind of like helped me not make dumb choices that I would have made if I was by myself.
Mm.
When you're by yourself, you're gonna make your own choices, whether good or bad, and probably more bad than good. So I think that it's not necessarily a good thing to condition kids from when they're young that when they're 18 they have to get the house or else. Like no, when I'm a dad and I have kids with my wife, and I see the growth of my child as they grow up between when they're one and they're two and they're seven and they're whatever. I'll be able to know if my son or daughter is going to be able to handle certain things in the world. And if they're not ready, I'm not going to push them out there to figure out for themselves. No, I'm going to
Yeah.
usher them into it, and then we'll talk about next steps or whatever. But I'm going to let my kids know, like, listen, you're not going to be a bum. You're definitely going to contribute to the house. You're going to, uh, provide some degree, whether it be chores, whether it be a little money, whatever, right? But then once we teach you responsibility and teach you certain things, how to ride a track, do whatever, finances, then you'll be able to go out there. But I'm not gonna push you out of my house. It's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna force my
Mm.
kid out the house. And a lot of parents do that, and that's kind of how like 18-year-olds go on this long path of like brokenness, and they become a screwed up adult. So that I just wanted to provide my 2 cents regarding that, and I didn't know if y'all like had any points of contention with that.
No, I wasn't implying that as soon as they turn 18, you got your foot on
Well,
their
I can't
butt,
hear
pushing them
America.
out
I'm
the
gonna
door.
leave and come back. Hold on.
Oh, can you hear me now? Oh.
Let him step back in real quick.
Oh, he had to do something?
He said he couldn't hear Meerkat, so he was about to come back.
Oh, okay, you're going to refresh. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me bring him back in.
All right. Now I can
Hey.
hear
So
you
I'm
guys. Okay, good.
No,
Cool.
beyond, I didn't want that it to sound like that. You got your foot on their butt at the door when they're 18. That's not what I'm talking about. Raise them in a way that they feel confident enough that they want to be on their own. However, and whenever they get there, but teach them work ethic, teach them to contribute, whether it's monetarily or, and then you put the money up and you give it to them when they, need it, down payment on a vehicle or a house or something like that. They don't know that that's what you're doing, and you surprise them with that because they've earned it.
Well, yeah,
And you
yeah,
know, and they want to help with the house. You know, they got supper cooked when you come home. You know, or they've got their their space clean. They keep their bathrooms clean. That's a big thing is bathrooms.
yeah. No, I wasn't
Dirty
like
bathrooms.
necessarily. I wasn't necessarily like speaking
know.
to you per se. I was just saying that like a lot of times, that it can get when not you, but like when parents are out
Yeah, yeah, I
there,
get that.
when
I
parents are
understand.
out there pushing their kid at the door at 18, that's conditioning that the enemy uses to
Oh
kind of like
yeah,
keep them isolated from the community.
yeah,
Because when you sin, right? A lot of people live in sin. When they're living in sin, they live in condemnation, and condemnation requires isolation, self doubt, self pity, guilt. There's
yeah,
overwhelming shame or whatever, right? And you want to
yeah,
hide it and you want to keep it to yourself. But when you have a community that you can rely on, which we should be teaching our kids to have whenever they grow up, assuming that
yeah.
they have a good, a good community, a good neighborhood or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
we should be teaching them like, hey, if you mess up, if you need help, you have us.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you might be 22 or 24, or whatever, but you still have us to lean on, whether whatever. So that it kind of like teaches them to like, hey, I have a sin that I've been sinning. They'll be more prone to like be out and open about it rather than
Yeah.
keep it in and like live in condemnation.
Yeah.
I
I had
think
a
like the whole
yeah.
18 thing, that's conditioning for like living in condemnation. That's why I said that.
Right. They're definitely not ready to be some kids are. Some kids are have an adult mindset at a younger age, but and boys mature supposedly later than girls, which, but I have a grandson. He's 18, fixing to be 19. He's in school, he works, and he lives at home, which is fine. He contributes or whatever. But I told him, I said, look, I said, if you ever need me, I'm here for you. I don't care if you made the worst wrong decision in your life. I said, I am here. I love you, and you're gonna make mistakes, and I want you to know that I'm not judging you. I'm here for you, and he super appreciated that. But our family is like that. I've got two sisters and a brother, and I've got multiple nieces and nephews, and great nieces and nephews, and that's just how our family is. So, and I know I didn't realize how blessed I was until I went to college. I only went to college for a year, but until I got out and met people from other areas that, how rough they had it. And I mean, I developed an appreciation for my family that I did not have before. I didn't know how blessed I was with my family. And, sometimes kids don't know that until they get out and see what other kids have gone through. But anyway,
Mm.
is there another question?
Yes, there is. Hold on one second. Let me get it real quick.
What do you think,
Uh,
Vic?
So I have questions, but I'm gonna wait till KJ has his, because I do have a question for the panel, for the topic. Since this is his topic, we're prioritizing his questions.
Okay.
Fifth,
I'm
after
gonna
this one,
take over.
after this one, I want you to ask your question because
No
I want to
problem.
know what you got.
Yeah.
Um, so this is the sixth question that I got mapped out. I'm doing it at random. I'm picking this one because we kind of touched on it a little bit, and I kind of want to expand a little bit further. Is cutting off a parent a legitimate act of self-protection or an extreme response encouraged by modern culture?
Lord Jesus.
Damn, that's a good question.
Yeah,
Damn.
that is a good question.
Well,
You said, is it self
Essentially,
protection or is
essentially
it?
no contact. We talking going no contact with your parents. Is it justified for self-protection or is it an extreme response that modern culture pushes for?
Shoot, I'm gonna go ahead and answer that one. I'm gonna say it's an extreme response, to be honest. I mean,
Really?
obviously there's context to that. It would
yeah,
depend
a
on
lot of
what their
context.
it would depend on what that parent did to that child. But honestly, like a lot of these kids are not raised um knowing Christ. They're just not. So they're not going to know the ways of forgiveness and the ways of like peace and all that stuff. They're going to just go through life mad. You know what I'm saying? So like, it really does depend on the context of it. And yes, every like action that you do to someone has different weight to it. So it would definitely depends on what that parent did to that child. But I think it's definitely more of an extreme response from the culture that we live in, because a lot of the culture is all about like cutting off cutting off people with no remorse. A lot of like uh unneeded stoicism and whatnot, and just being a cold person. Like that's the culture doesn't necessarily promote being the light of the world. If I'm being totally honest. So
I'm gonna have to challenge you on that unneeded stoicism bit because I'm a big proponent of stoicism. But
no, I am
we'll
too,
get.
but unneeded. Like you got into an argument with your mom's, right?
Mhm.
And it was a heated argument, but like she didn't do anything to you, like physically or anything like that. For the most part, you had a pretty okay life. It just got into a big argument. Maybe you held on to resentment and whatnot, and you got into a big argument, and that required y'all to have some space. But it doesn't need to be like years and years of like you just being a cold person to her and not like even giving her a chance to say I'm sorry or vice
Mm.
versa. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by like, unneeded.
Okay.
Maybe that word being stoic is the wrong word in this situation, but being cold in unneeded situations, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Meerkat?
I think it's the second option, the social. I know a couple of situations where it's this big thing about like they're going to the hospital to have the baby, but nobody's allowed to come. Nobody's allowed to come when the baby's first born. They got to do all this bonding and stuff like this. And it's like, and then I was like, why can't we go see the baby? I mean, we're not trying to take the baby or anything like that. But, and then I talked to my daughter and she said, Mom, she goes, it's this big thing. These girls are just all about the boundaries and they want to have this. And it's just a relevant thing that's really gotten just blown out of proportion, I guess. But it's just when they're there, when they go there to have the baby, no family is, um, they don't want to, you can't go, you have to have permission. You can't pick the baby. It's just like stuff like that. It's not even that you're being overbearing. It's just a general rule that they're throwing out, and it's just that second part. It's like it's just contagious. They talk about it on TikTok. You got to limit your parents. You got to limit your parents. Limit parents and stuff like that. And I know some parents can be just come in and take over, but and I understand that some parents do need boundaries, but sometimes if it's not, or you get a controlling spouse or boyfriend and they want to be controlling, so you can't really have anything with the parents. And so I think the extreme cases would be for self-protection, but those are very, very, very extreme, I would think. I know they have violent parents, they got kids that are molested by parents, and can I say that word? So I think generally, just overall general, it's the response to what they see and hear on TikTok and stuff, and Instagram or wherever, Facebook. So
Mm. What about you, Fifth?
I bet I was muted. So I think modern culture, I think we have to get into, is it actually modern culture that is teaching uh, everyone, and not just this current generation, but since we all frequent social media, right, and the internet, that is it teaching now uh, the contributors of this current generation that you should just cut your parents off? Okay, unwarranted, no, you shouldn't be like, if there's a situation where you grew up, I mean, on the spectrum of abuse, right? Then I can understand that. And to beyond this point, beyond the I'm gonna tell you the sad beyond the unmute for a second. I need to get his. So beyond you spoke on the teachings growing up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we all know what the scripture says about honoring your mother and thy father so that your days will be longer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I would say that well, of course that scripture is right. Now what kind of parents are we talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Now if you had bad parents and they drove that into your head, that's abuse.
Right.
Because you had bad parents and your own parents are using the Bible to oppress you in a way.
Sure.
So then that would be wrong. But if you had good parents, decent parents, and when I say good parents, I don't mean your parent is only good when they're giving you something. It's
Uh-huh.
not what I mean. I
Uh-huh.
mean they were good parents in the sense that they taught you right from wrong. They gave you correction. They gave you wisdom. They gave you love, and all these other things we're talking about, right?
Right.
But if you did not receive any of that, and I mean any of that, I mean all you received was blood and dust, then I can understand you got to definitely depart from that.
Sure.
Yeah. So I go more from a unwarranted part. If it's unwarranted, that is extreme. When it's warranted are the factors that I mentioned.
Mm. So I might be the odd man out on this one. Um, I think no contact should be used as an option more. I think that you have a lot of people that are, you have a lot of parents and adults and I'm gonna just start listing off examples. So one of the things that Gen X parents did that I noticed growing up is that they did a lot of telling children's business to other adults as gossip. Like, girl, Did you hear that such and such got an F in math class? And everybody asking them, why you got an F in math class? Just putting them through this like humiliation ritual, right? That's example number one, right? Or he did this, or she did that. Did you hear about this? Girl, he was just yapping off at the mouth talking about your kid, embarrassing your kid. That's one thing. You have another one where you have, like me and Fifth were talking about earlier, where you have certain parenting methods where you have a child that is trying to express themselves and they're not really given the space in what should be the safest spaces of all places for a child to be able to express themselves to their parent. Obviously within reason. You don't get to just yap off at the mouth and just cuss your parents out because you angry. That's not emotional regulation. And then what type of parent would any of us be if we were just allowing our kids to just go off on everybody, start cussing them out and disrespecting them because they was feeling some type of way? It's not acceptable, right? But if that gets misconstrued with passion and then that person is not allowed to actually express themselves, especially when the parent is wrong. And that gets to that third bit. A lot of parents didn't necessarily admit that they were wrong. They weren't apologetic. They weren't accountable for the things that they did to their children, and their child would express this to them, and the response is usually a backhanded apology, or worse, I was just doing what I had to do. Certain things like that. It's a lot for somebody to go no contact. It doesn't have to only be the extremes. It could be a million small things that could lead up to you noticing a pattern to where it's like, my parent isn't really showing any sign of change here. And I'm an adult now, and they're still doing the same things. I'm at a position now where I can bring this up to them without being at fear of being punished or spanked or reprimanded for these things, because I'm an adult. I pay my own bills. I don't have to answer to you anymore. And now it's all of a sudden, oh, I don't remember that. Or you hear from other people, oh, that's your mother, that's your father. You only get one. You gotta let it go. No, no. And you don't get to tell somebody when to let it go. So when they're in proximity to those things for the majority of their childhood, it's going to disincentivize them to even want to be around their parents over time. So I don't think that modern culture has necessarily um pushed for it, uh in a sense of more kids need to go no contact with their parents. I think that modern culture has said, you know what, you don't have to keep putting up with this abuse just because they are your parents. Now, Beyonce spoke on Beyonce spoke um on biblical principles, right? Honor thy mother and thy father, so thou days shall be long and everlasting. I think that's what it says. And then it says, don't provoke your child to wrath, or don't provoke your child to anger thereafter, right? The the difference in how we honor our parents depends on how our parents are acting. If you have blatantly unrighteous parents, and if you have parents that are leading you further away from God, then that is full justification for you to separate yourself, especially if you're knowledgeable on what you're supposed to do as a child of God. That's on the comeuppance, you know? So, for example, you have an extreme case, your dad telling you, oh, do this, right? And it's clearly wrong. It's clearly morally wrong, but you're doing it because that's your parent and you were raised. I gotta listen to him because that's my dad, right? But it's still wrong to do. He's setting you up for failure. That's unrighteous teachings. That's immoral, right? By you not listening to him in that moment, that's not dishonor, and that's something that a lot of parents conflate. You have kids that know that something is wrong, but still do those things because if they don't do those things, they're in fear of getting disciplined by their parents. Over time, going no contact is actually a great option, depending on depending on how your parents raised you growing up. Was it an actual functioning household? Or was it a household full of dysfunction where you literally couldn't learn, or you had to grow up at an early age, right? Just so you can figure out, how do I get out of here? Let's not talk about the kids that grown up having to raise their siblings for their parents. Let's not talk about the little girls who have had to be lone wolves after experiencing getting touched by family members, people that they should have trusted, and their parents not going to their rescue like they should have. All of these things are reasons why people have been going no contact, boundaries being crossed. And then when you have people that are actually reinforcing, this is my boundary, I don't want you to cross this boundary, now it's like, oh, these boundaries are just completely out of whack, right? No, I saw how you raised me, and I see that right now you're being a hypocrite when it comes to my child. All of a sudden you had this come to Jesus moment after I'm an adult and gone, when it came to me. But now you want to tell me how to raise my kid when I barely survived being under your comeuppance? Come on now.
Listen, that's a good point. I can't even disagree with that. And what everything, yo, bro, that's so crazy. Everything you just said, I went through that exact same thing to a degree. Not like I wasn't abused or anything like that, but I went through literally all of my teenage, well, literally all of my years I lived under my mom. Of I couldn't really like challenge her, even if she was wrong, because she was always right. And I never had a safe space to like fully like challenge her, not in a rude way, but like just to she was wrong. You know what I'm saying? So like, I couldn't really like challenge her because I'll just get yelled at or whatever, or be told that I was like not I wasn't being a good son or whatever. And part of the reason why I really couldn't talk was because I had like whenever I get angry or really anxious, I have like my speech impediment like was really bad as a teenager. So when I would have the floor to talk, it's like I didn't feel like it was going to be received as a way of like, okay, we're going to listen to what you have to say, Malik, and then we'll respond. But no, they were never ever like receptive of like my voice at all. I had to like pretty much stay quiet. Otherwise, it would have been a bigger argument. So I get that. That's a pretty good point. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it goes to the point, yours was definitely well said. I definitely had a more like 5-word answer. You know, I definitely peep what he's saying. So my question, because I guess my question is gonna have to go this way since you, KJ, asked that, and that is, let's take it from a relationship standpoint, right?
Mm.
So, are traditional values disappearing, or are younger generations simply redefining what those values mean?
Repeat that question one more time.
Yes, sir. Actually, before I ask that, I'm sorry because it kind of leads into it because that's how this makes sense. Have sorry, KJ, but I'll go back to that after this question because it matches up. Have dating, marriage, and relationships changed because younger generations have different values, or because technology changed the way people connect?
Save me for last.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna have to repeat that one more time.
I know it's a long.
I
It's
got
a
it,
long.
but it is kind of a yeah.
It's a long question. So, have dating, marriage, and relationships changed because younger generations have different values, or because technology changed the way people connect?
That's more of a correlation, not really a causation thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of like goes hand in hand. You know, and it comes up. It goes back to what Meerkat was saying about like how parents raising their kids to not want to like go through what they went through. I guess. So kind of like the old saying goes. How's the saying go? It goes like tough times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create tough times. That's kind of like the whole cycle, right? So we have the strong men already, right? We already know about that age, and then they raise, and then they produce good times. In those good times, which we've already seen it over the past like 30 years, I'd say probably more, 40. We've had soft men in those times pretty much like grow up and be soft, and now we're living in tough times. So um it's kind of like they go hand in hand. I don't know if one causes the other, but I do think that when you have good times and those soft men values, right, the ones that raised up the next generation, the ones that we're talking about right now earlier, those values are going to change from the upbringing, but then also the technology that we have today also like enables it, and like it builds a fortress around those values, like impenetrable. So even if you would come at it with a wrecking ball of truth, reality, things that like need to be had in society for it to actually progress further, it wouldn't work because people are so encompassed in their own BS, in their own reality, like in their own softness, that like it kind of like makes the entire generation or the entire society appear like their values are just changed, like that, like they've drastically changed from 2026 in 1996. You know what I mean? That's my whole. But that's kind of how I'm thinking about it.
What do you think, Meerkat?
I think the social media, the second part, is contributed a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because like face-to-face relationships are not as apparently not as important, but then you have kids that like to get together, but then you have a group. I hate to group people up and stereotype people, but anyway, you do have a group that they're reclusive to a degree. um they're afraid to get out. They're afraid to, I don't know if it's they were bullied at school, I don't know if they were different, I don't know, but they recluse themselves and they're not as outgoing. They're more, homebodies. They want to be home. They're lonely though. They want friends. I don't think they understand why they don't have friends or why people. I don't know if it's like a financial type situation, like blue collar, and you got white collar kids, in families that have more money and they have more access to entertainment things. I'm talking about younger kids growing into adults. Um, and then there's more analytical kids that do well on the computer and stuff like that, and they become, they're not as outgoing. I don't know if they're not taught to be outgoing. I don't know what the breakdown is in that aspect. But there's more people on social media that are not having face to face relationships. You see that the catfish stuff came out, people were, having relationships online for years and years and years, and they weren't interacting with their social peers, their peer groups. Um, I don't know if kids aren't taught that they have anything to say. They don't have a voice. Mom speaks for the kids, dad speaks for the kids. Um, so I don't know. It's sad because we have more, you have more access to information. There's more crimes. You hear more about crimes. You hear more about the worst case scenario crimes. You have kids being disappearing because they met somebody online. That happens a lot. So I don't know if I'm chasing rabbits here, but to the question, but I think it's more the social media, instead of, we didn't have computers like we have now. When I was growing up in the 60s, 70s, if you had friends, you called them on the telephone, that's attached to the wall. Or if you were lucky, you had a cordless phone in your house, but we didn't have, I graduated in 79. Cell phones were coming out, but not like we have today. So if you wanted to have friends, you had to go get together with them and stuff like that. And, so I don't know. Generations have changed and things have become easier and harder at the same time. Relationships are not, I don't know, trusting. Yeah, there's a lack of trust amongst people. And I know you go the biblical route and it's to bring up a child in the way they should go, and when they will get older, they will return, to it. Um, and that's just learning life. You can't get saved on the coattails of your parents. You have to, you have to walk it out yourself.
Yeah.
But having a safe space to land is very, very important, and some kids don't have that. That home is not a safe space, safe place. And they sometimes they have homes with their friends. A lot of kids, I'm sure, hang out with their friends' families because they're getting the attention they're not getting at home. And I don't know where that breakdown happened, but anyway, I don't know.
Yeah. KJ.
All right, give me the options back one more time. You
Yeah.
said it was
Have dating, marriage, and relationships change because younger generations have different values, or because technology changed the way people connect?
okay. Um, so I would go to beyond the route and say that it's definitely a correlation versus a causation. I think that because of technological influence, the values ended up changing. So you definitely so that we're living in a time where people have more options, quote unquote, especially with especially with these dating apps, especially with social media in general, right? Where you have more people that are able to connect and mingle with one another, and they just met with this person, right? Case in point, I met my girlfriend on TikTok. It's no secret. So there's
Hmm.
there's a there's definitely a there's definitely a set of values that have definitely changed. And that part of those values have definitely been influenced by certain ideologies that have existed for a very long time, i.e., feminist ideologies, red pill ideologies, et cetera, et cetera. And those play a big part in how we view modern dating culture, especially within my generation in particular. Now, the difference with these values is that people have created this postmodernist perspective on dating with traditional snippets. For example, um you have women that still want that strong independent sort of mentality while simultaneously reaping the benefits that you would typically see a traditional wife get. Now, this is the part where the red pill kind of got this part correct, where you have an inconsistency. Um how do you expect people how do you expect men to want to be a husband to you if you aren't willing to be a wife to them? And that's something that you have to demonstrate early on when you're dating them, when you're exclusive in a relationship with them before they decide, is this somebody that I want to marry? Is this somebody that I want to have children with? And in turn, the same logic is with husbands as well, right? How is it that a woman is supposed to trust you long term if you aren't showing them that you're supposed to be a provider, that you will be a good father, right? That you will be a man of value, a man of character, morale, integrity, et cetera, et cetera. These things matter. And if you aren't demonstrating these things early, then you are going to inevitably fail in this relationship that you're trying to pursue and fail in the future ordeals of relationships and in your dating market, because you're going to be wondering over time, well, why am I always failing in these things? Case in point example, if you have if you have uh an individual, right, that has this mentality of, I'm not going to do certain things until I get this, until I get that. That speaks to how transactional this dating market has become. Now, don't get me wrong, dating has always been transactional, but we've put priority over the transactions as opposed to putting priority over the person, right? Actually building with the person so that the transactions come naturally. The transactions are now expected early on without actually building. We've been sold this Disney pipe dream of, oh, if we love each other enough, we're just gonna end up married and we're just gonna have this happily ever after. No, no. You'll be lying to yourself if you think that your girl is not gonna piss you off every once in a while. You'll be lying to yourself if you think that your man is not gonna piss you off every once in a while. It's about connecting with them, figuring out and planning accordingly how to move in this relationship so that it can actually function properly. And part of the values that have changed due to social media influence is the lack of God being at the center of it. Let's just keep it a buck. People don't keep God at the center of their relationship and they're wondering why it's failing. It's like, well, duh, because God didn't approve of this. And now you're heartbroken. Now you got to go through this quote unquote healing process, and you wondering why you're so stuck for the next 6, 7 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on how long you've been in this relationship with him for. You just set yourself up for failure. It's pointless.
Hey
He should
KJ,
have.
you said
He should have
you
been there
said you
Thursday at my panel. Holy crap!
You said what?
I
wait.
said
Go ahead, Malik.
you should have been there Thursday when I'm talking about the privileges between men and women. That would have been a good answer for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, was that a question
Remember
you had
that?
on your panel this past Thursday?
Yeah, remember that panel last week?
yeah. His his topic idea was Thursday, and he gave me an idea for this upcoming Thursday to kind of go through it in a different way. So
Hmm.
it's going to kind of be related to what Beyonce was talking about last week. Um, but my question, real quick, not on no toxic stuff. You said you met your girl on TikTok.
Where you going with this fish?
Ha-
Yes, I
ha-
did.
has she showed up on my panel before?
No.
Okay, all right. That was all I want to know. All right. So my follow up to that was the question that I asked accidentally first before that one, and that is: are traditional values disappearing, or are younger generations simply redefining what those values mean?
Redefining it.
Hey,
I think
Definitely
they're
hey,
kind
redefining
of
it.
slowly going away. coming up with their own. But I think deep down, the traditional values are respected because they don't realize that that's what they really want is traditional values. They want to put a modern spin on them, but people want people they can trust, and they want people they can depend on, and they want people to feel, they feel safe with, and that they want that romantic fairy tale all at the same time. You can have those things. It takes work, but you can have those things in relationships.
Hmm. Malik, aka Beyonda, what do you think?
Do I think that they're being redefined? And what was the other part of it?
Are traditional values disappearing, or just younger generations simply redefining what those values mean?
Both. I think a lot of people tend to forget that being traditional was on both ends. It wasn't just women being virgins; it was the guys too. A lot of guys would meet their girlfriend; they'd be virgins too. So like for me, like I wouldn't be considered a classic traditional, but there are ideals that I would take from like those days, like back in the day, I guess, and like sprinkle it into what I have today. Like obviously, I live in modern day, so like the modern day like lifestyle is way different from back in the day. So just by default, you're not gonna have a perfect traditional like ideology, especially because no one does now. you know, so it definitely is like a mixture of like disappearing, but also those men like KJ. I'm sure you fit whenever you find your wife, is that you're
Hmm.
gonna like definitely like have a lot of those like fundamental like values that you're gonna bring from what you've heard from your uncle or some masculine figure in your life that are going to like resemble some form of tradition, but it's gonna be your own. You know.
Hey, KJ,
Sir.
what are your next questions? Because I don't want to step on your toes, man. We
Mm,
might have something that relates.
Sir, you can never step on my toes, man. It's your show. I'm just glad you. I'm happy you doing the topic. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, the reason why because there's a raising of the minds from then till now. I remember hearing. I always heard stuff like, well, back in my day, when we fought, we had our hands. We didn't pull out weapons, right? Then you could pull out evidence of them pulling out weapons. So, you know,
Mm,
I mean, you got a whole show called West Side Story. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, well, that part I do agree with Gen X on. I wish people would
Yeah,
just box a whole lot more than they would just be
right. Quick
guns
to pull out
blazing.
the hammer. No,
Like I'm
you're
like, come
right.
on, man, come on, dog.
Right.
That's why I'm avoiding to get in confrontation. Not because I can't fight. It's because I know everybody around me can't fight, and it's the thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the idea of them losing, right? And
Yeah.
we got can't people like to record.
Yeah.
I grew up in a time where it was World Star. Now imagine
Uh
you an
huh.
adult and everybody screaming World Star while you getting your you know what caved in. I'm sorry, I had to like come on, bro.
Yeah.
Like, of course you gonna pull out the blick and just air the whole mug out. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Because people
Yeah.
don't got emotional regulation. But I'm glad you said that because I think this touches into it a little bit. All
Yeah.
right. So Meerkat's the oldest one here. And I want to
Hmm.
hear what she got to say first.
Well,
Are
Okay.
Gen
Meerkat, I forgot to ask Meerkat, what on the generation totem pole, we have silent, baby boomer, Gen X. Where are you out of those three?
I
I
think
I don't want to assume it for you, but where are
no,
you?
I was born in 61. So what is
Boomer?
that?
Oh, you're a
Boomer.
boomer. You would be a boomer.
Boomer.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Boomer.
Yeah, but you have children.
Right.
Your children. What generations are your children in?
They were born in 81, 83, and then 93.
Okay,
Millennial.
81 is a
Millennial.
millennial. Yeah. What was the last one you said?
She raised millennials.
83, 93.
93. Okay, they're all my generation. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. They're all in their 40s and 30s.
Told
So
you, told you, Fifth. Silent generation raised Gen X. Boomers raised millennials. Gen X raised Gen Z. And millennials are raising alpha.
Let me tell you something, KJ. A lot of Gen Xers were raised by their grandparents.
This is true. This is true.
Because that's the generation of, if you had a kid young, it was shame. So they moved you down south. And then when you came back up and people said, "Who's this kid?" The mother would say, "That's my little sister," when really that was her daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and we don't put it past my generation either, because I've definitely seen that a couple of times.
Right.
Don't say the P word.
Now we
You
know
can't
where
say
Tyler
the P
Perry.
word.
Now we know where Tyler Perry was getting the script from.
Yes.
We was real life messy back in the day. It's not funny, but it is.
No, for real. No, but and that's the thing. But think about it, KJ. You have Gen Xers who were raised by boomers, right? Not all of them, but you have a pocket of them. Yeah. That pocket gave birth to my generation. So that children are seen and not heard. Mm-hmm. That Gen Xer could have got that from the Gen Xer could have got that from the silent generation.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's very possible.
What is y'all's generation? Generation X or
me and Beyond are Gen Z.
Okay.
Beyond is barely Gen Z.
He's barely Gen Z.
He should be a millennial with his old behind. man got AARP mail right now as we speak. He old.
So
I'm over here talking trash like I don't got back problems at 24.
The makeup of who comes on here typically would be that that Zacchaeus, Ray represent Gen X because they were born in the they're born late 60s, 70s era, right?
Yeah.
And so me, and if Mila was here, us two represent millennial because we were born in the 80s after 1981 until 1993.
I'm assuming J-Dub is Gen Z.
Yeah. J-Dub is actually, she's my generation actually.
Oh, she's millennial?
Yeah, because she's in her mid-30s, I think.
Okay. So then that just leaves me, Angie, Beyond, and Jess.
Right. Because
we're Gen Z.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And for once, I'm not the youngest in the room. Well, I am today, but I mean. But this question kind of touches into what we were talking about earlier. And Mary Kay, like I said, I want to hear from you first. Are Gen X parents unfairly dismissive of Gen Z's mental health struggles, or is Gen Z too quick to medicalize ordinary stress?
I think it's both. Because we didn't, like, coming up, we didn't have all these diagnoses like they have now. We didn't have all these, we didn't. I mean, we didn't. You
didn't have CTE. You didn't have none of that.
No, we didn't have defiant, oppositional defiant syndrome. We didn't have.
They didn't have ADHD.
They
had ADD, but not ADHD. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't. We just didn't have. That wasn't. I don't know why we didn't have the issues with kids like we're having now. So I don't know if it's people want to say it's the food additives or whatever, the preservatives and all that. And supposedly girls are maturing faster physically than they were, hormones and stuff like that, than, younger. But so I don't know.
What about you,
So
Fifth?
say your question again.
Yeah, say your question again.
All right. Hold on, let me pull it back up. Are Gen X parents unfairly dismissive of Gen Z's mental health struggles, or is Gen Z too quick to medicalize ordinary stress?
I think it's like I said,
it's a combination of both.
I
Yeah.
think it's a both because, you know, everybody's got a mental issue. I mean, it's just the way it seems. Everybody's got mental issues, and then they want to excuse behavior because it's a mental issue. It's like, where do you draw the line? I mean, people should be responsible for their behavior. Okay, so they unalive somebody because they had a mental issue. Well, they're not safe, and you can't just let them excuse their behavior. I don't know. It's just that's what I'm. It's just mind boggling. Again. But anyway, I think it's a combination of both. It can be both.
Well, KJ, man, I would say that Gen X's probably felt like they had to suffer in silence, so they probably should have gotten diagnosed.
We getting there now. We getting somewhere.
Yeah, because my generation, so I'm I was raised by the old school, and the old school was raised by the old school. So me being a 39-year-old man, and maybe not all of the men and women of my age exactly, but I have a lot of old school stuff in me too. I don't have any kids. But keep in mind, you have parents who have gaps in the children that they raise. So they could have children in both generations just like mine. My brother's in a different gen, right? We're 7 years apart. He's a Gen X, I'm a Gen Y. So if you have a big family, my cousin, right? He has a gang of kids. Sorry, brother, I don't mean to say that disrespectfully.
Not a gang.
But I mean, he's a good dad, and they're all at the home. Okay, I just
Hey, that's good.
He's raised all of his kids, 2-parent household. I don't want to,
Hey,
but
kids, you got like 5.
7.
Damn.
Yeah, but hey, beautiful kids, beautiful big family, beautiful, beautiful, right?
That's good. I know that man's stressed out though.
Right, but he's got Z's and alphas. He's got Z's and alphas in his kids. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be similarities, but there are going to be differences.
Right.
And so I think what's going to happen is that the alphas of the group are going to share a lot of things of the Z's. And then vice versa. So
Make
you're gonna
no mistake about it. We can't stand Gen Alpha.
We'll see.
We can't stand them. Them little iPad
What's
kids.
the attitude? Why?
Well, KJ, a lot of Gen Zs don't like Gen Ys.
Okay, what about baby boomers? What do people think about baby boomers?
Don't like Gen Z? That what you mean? Listen, we know,
on both sides.
but this is the funny part. Millennials are like the middle child that don't nobody care about.
Well, see, well, KJ, right? KJ, hold on, let's keep it real. Let's keep it real, right? Now, if you get married to a woman of your age group right now, all to the good. But if you're me and you're not married and you still want to have kids, right? Mm-hmm. My wife might be a Gen Z.
Younger.
Might be. What Fifth? You like 35, right?
I'm 39.
30.
So if I still want a family,
you're gonna have to get with somebody in their mid-20s. That's what you're thinking.
That's gonna be a Gen Z person, right?
That's gonna be challenging. Right. That's gonna be a challenging relationship.
That's gonna be difficult.
Right, because I'm gonna be honest with you, KJ. I think I'm too much of an old school person for a Gen Z woman.
Right, because like we've already touched on Gen Z and Gen Y already got completely different values and upbringings.
Yes.
Who has the stronger personalities? The Gen Alpha, the Gen whatever you talk about, Gen X or whatever.
I think that
who's more
this is what I think. This is what I think. Because Gen Alpha is funny. I've seen a lot of like relationships between Gen Alpha and their parents, and it's like, okay, that's kind of funny, like millennials are friends with their kids within reason, and it can be very funny. You allow your kid to be expressive, right? And it's wholesome moments. I see it on TikTok all the time, right? Some people will post they text message history with their kids, and I'm like, this little mongrel is out here blowing up my phone, and it's a whole comedy show just reading the old text messages.
Yeah, it
Like,
is.
okay,
It
yeah,
is with the
yeah,
kids.
that
Yeah.
that that's funny. That's funny. But I think the problem that well, me personally, the problem that I have with Gen Alpha is that a lot of it is a lot of the entitlement accusations are misdirected at us, and it should be directed at them. Like, yo, y'all forgot that we know what, like, especially 97 to 2004. I'm being charitable. We know what it's like to go outside. We've heard be in a house before the street lights come on. We've heard that.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard stay in the child's place. We heard don't talk out of turn. We've heard all these things growing up. Especially Gen Z, especially between 97 and '04. We've definitely heard that. I remember knocking on my neighbor's door asking if you want to ride the bike down the block. I remember that.
Okay.
Went
Okay.
outside and rode my bike all the time in middle school. What? We this is not new. This is not a new concept to us. So a lot of the things that Gen X would project onto us as far as entitlement. Oh, you guys have the internet. We had to learn the internet as we
Mhm.
went. Y'all didn't really need to learn the internet as much because y'all were already established. Now we need the internet to function. So we were kind of dealt a different hand. And we some of the things are great. We have grievances on some of those things, but when we express some of those grievances, now all of a sudden, no, you're entitled, you're privileged, you're this, you're that, and it's just like, what the hell? we
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 didn't have
figured it
all
out.
that, so blah.
Like,
We've had to learn the internet, and it's a foreign language, altogether.
yeah,
There's things on my phone I don't even know how to do. But overall, you learn out of necessity. Necessity nudges you to learn, how to work things. So yeah,
yeah.
I still can't
So,
do a spreadsheet. I can't do a spreadsheet.
Man, I couldn't do a spreadsheet to save my life until my uncle showed me.
Well, I know, but it's like,
And the best part about it is that you don't even have to do it manually for the most part.
yeah.
You could have the AI do it for you.
I
That's the
know, but
best
it's
part
like,
about it.
how do you remember? You don't even have to remember phone numbers anymore. We had to. I knew all kind of phone numbers growing up, but now
Yeah, we don't get
I don't.
we don't have phone books no more. We don't
No, I
got phone books
know,
no
but
more.
you can make a Christmas tree out of a phone book. The old
La-
school
last
phone
now,
book.
time last time I saw a payphone was in 2013 when me and my mom went to New York to visit my auntie and my grandmother.
Yep,
well,
payphones were really all over the place when I
I
was
I'm
young.
guarantee
gonna,
you
I'm,
payphones ain't nowhere to be found no more.
I
well, let me
know.
get Malik in here, y'all. But Beyonda,
Let me repeat the question.
Yeah, what's up? I'm here.
yeah, how old were you when you got your first cell phone?
Mm. Um, damn, I was. Uh,
I know for a fact I was probably like 10 years old, 9 or 10 years old.
9 or 10 years old. Meerkat,
I
that
was.
speaks to a difference right there. Go ahead, Malik.
I was. I
Yes.
was.
Like 20s and the 20s.
I think like seventh grade, eighth grade. I want to say.
Seventh grade, eighth grade. Y'all want to know how old I was when I got my first cell phone?
No.
You was probably in middle of high school,
I was
wasn't
in
it?
high school. I
Yeah.
was it was my junior year of high school.
Yep. Knew it.
And you want to know what kind of phone it was?
It was a flip phone, wasn't it?
Old school joint, B.
It was
Old
one of
school.
it
It
was one of
wasn't
them
colored.
it was one of them Nokias with the wire in the back. That's what it
With the antenna that lifted up.
It
You know
looked
the
like that
antenna?
looked
You
like
lift up the
yep, the
antenna?
antenna. That's what it was. Nah, my mom My mom gave me my first cell phone, but I didn't have internet access, so I couldn't play you. I couldn't
But
watch YouTube videos on my phone. I couldn't do that
man,
until I couldn't do that until middle school.
I
Is
didn't
My
when
have.
first my first thing was a beeper. We had
yeah
beepers.
she gave me
Yeah,
she
beepers was going around when I was still young.
And we
We,
had
we
codes on the beeper to, you had to have a code on the beeper.
yeah.
I wanted one because before the cell phone came up was a two-way pager. That was when I was in middle school.
Okay.
I'll tell you what
Yeah.
type of phone that I really wanted though.
Well,
Before the iPhone was started to blow up, a BlackBerry.
yeah.
My mama and my godmother had a BlackBerry, and I thought it was the
I have
coolest thing
never
in the
had a
world.
BlackBerry. I have no
That
idea what the
that
great
little
thing.
circle in the middle before it became a touchpad. That little circle
Uh
in the
huh.
middle, it made it easier to navigate the phone. That was so cool to me. But and then I grew up an Android kid most of my life.
Yeah, me
So
too. Me too.
everybody had the latest iPhone in middle school. You know what I mean? And
Well, I was an
I was
Android
I was
adult.
stu- I was stuck with this old busted like $200 Samsung Android. This is back when Android had the little antennas for the emojis, right?
Yeah.
And it did those little pseudo updates where it added the emoji keypad and whatnot. But it was a weak little phone. Instagram was barely. I'm gonna put y'all on. It was one of those phones where you couldn't use Snapchat filters because the phone wasn't up to date.
Hmm.
That's the type of phone it was. It was real old for its time. Everybody had iPhones and whatnot, so I was kind of like the odd man out. But I'm gonna tell a story. My mom and my stepdad took my phone away, and I didn't have a phone for the entirety of high school. Cause y'all remember when Google Plus was a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Google Plus was my safe haven. And I'm gonna give y'all some lore. Google Plus is really where I started showing interest in debating people because one of the topics that I loved to debate at the time was religion. And I was an atheist at the time. Now, there's no secret. I
Wow.
grew up in the church. So when my mom found out and she started reading through the debates that I was having with people online, she
Oh
didn't
my
like my
goodness.
talking points. So when she saw it, she was like, "You'll never have a phone for the rest of your life as long as you in this house." And she took my phone because of that, and I never had a phone since then. I got my
You put a stop
I
to
got
that.
yeah, I had a phone when I moved out. 2 weeks after I moved out, my dad went out to the Metro PCS and he got me another phone. And I just switched to Apple until I want to say November last year. So I
Well,
I
my
will
mom
forever
had the
I will
big
forever be Team Apple. I'm never going back. I'm never going back, man.
my mom had the big old satellite phone. It looked like a big old cordless phone. My mom had one of those a long, long, long time ago when they came
Yeah.
out.
Oh
Wow,
man, we just
memories,
went
huh?
we just went down a phone rabbit hole, man. I had talked to my mom about that.
Well,
I'm like, Ma, you really got mad at you really took my phone for the entirety of high school. I got subjected to being bullied for the duration of my high school year because everybody always brought whenever we start roasting each other, the first thing kids would bring up, that's why you ain't got a phone. It's like, come on, bro. Like it's old at this point. But like she was like, I just didn't want you to be corrupted by all this social media and I didn't know what else to do. And I was like, I guess. But you do know I still needed that phone for like school and stuff, right? She was like, hey, you still graduated with a 3.5 GPA. I was like, yeah, but it would have been a 4.0 GPA if I had that phone. I'm just saying. But
She's like,
it's like,
she's like, stop whining. You should have been, you shouldn't have been doing that.
hey, I barely got a full ride. Barely. But hey, beyond it, I'm gonna repeat the question back to you so you can answer. Are Gen X parents unfairly dismissive of Gen Z's mental health struggles, or is Gen Z too quick to medicalize ordinary stress? And then after you, I'm gonna take a crack at it.
Ugh, what a tough ass question, man. Holy crap. Um,
I'm good at this. I'm really good at it.
that's really tough.
My questions will make you think.
shoot, I don't know. I'm gonna say both,
Mm,
but I'm gonna lean more towards the parenting part, only because, and I'm not giving an excuse for people who do heinous things. I'm not saying that, but if they cared about their kids and they cared about getting them help, right? And the thing is, like, if you're a parent, there's no excuse for why you weren't paying attention to signs that your kid might have become a killer when they grow up. Um, if you weren't paying attention to that, that's what. Okay, hold on. Let me go ahead
he's
and
not
start cooking,
wrong.
man.
He's not
Let me
wrong.
start cooking, man, because I was talking. I was talking about this with spicy ranch in the car earlier. Fifth, we were talking
Yeah.
about this for a good hour, right? And it's not an excuse. And you know what? To Katie's point, I agree with you. That's why I don't fight anymore either. I can fight, but I don't want to because I developed that mindset when I was in freaking middle school. I was like, yeah, I'm not fighting nobody because people out here are starting to get a little. I had intuition about this stuff when I was young, so I started fighting whenever I was like eighth grade, freshman year of high school, damn near. And I just felt a shift in the mindset of the kids growing up and stuff. I just knew that like they couldn't handle what I could handle. I could handle being bullied for my speech impediment. I can handle being called this and that. I play Call of Duty growing up. I don't care about what I get called, you know? So I have tough skin. But for some reason I had like a great intuition and I knew that kids coming up were not built like that. They were soft.
Right. That's right.
I just knew it. So like I always try to be respectful and kind to people because you never know if you're rude to the wrong person, that could be their last straw. That
Yeah.
could be their last straw, and all of a sudden it's on Fox News. You know, like we learn about respect and a certain level of kindness, I guess, in kindergarten, don't we? So it's probably best for you not to
You
speak to
should.
someone
You
and be
should by
rude.
then.
We it's probably best not to be rude to someone in broad daylight because hey, the next day you just never know, right? And so I kind of blame it on the parenting because the parents are what condition the kids to certain things in life, right? And if you're not paying attention to their mental health and you're like kind of like throwing it away because your parents threw it away, well, guess what? They're not going to be like you to a T, right? Everyone has different thresholds. And plus, since your kids are growing up in a different age, it's probably best to be a little smarter about how you're like treating their mental health, not throwing it away like trash, or like not treating it as like a priority. Because if you don't, you get people that do stupid things, and unfortunately, they're in jail or they're not even alive anymore. So
Mm.
Hmm.
I say it's both, but at the same time, like I gotta lean more towards parents. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure we can put the blame on the devices and whatnot. Sure, that probably played a part in it for sure, but I'm not gonna necessarily put my blame on the device whenever at the end of the day it's kind of like a gun, right? The gun can't shoot itself, the person
Right.
does.
Right.
So the devices are held by people, right? And the people already have like an ideology, a mindset that they're being like you can like a person's identity is being formed day by day when they grow up. So as a parent, you have the ability to like have them be malleable to an extent, but like morph them into like a good person, not a bad person. You can help that. Parents have a lot more power than they think they do, but like not power in a bad way, but power, but like you have the power to like pretty much set your kid in the right path in life, and it starts with that in the household. I think.
So
Yeah.
this is me. Um, I believe that there's definitely been more of a dismissive nature behind the mental health struggles. And I'm gonna give you some more lore.
Yeah.
My dad was diagnosed with ADD. Um, I want to say around his late adolescence, early teenage years. Um, we'll get to him in a minute. my uncle told me this story about how he he ended up having an experience of witnessing, I believe, his father get shot or somebody else in the house get shot. And because of that, him witnessing that, he ended up developing a stuttering problem
Mm.
from the trauma. My grandmother didn't know how to handle him having that stuttering problem, so she, in simple ways put, beat the stuttering out of him.
Oh, wow.
So my uncle doesn't hold it above her head. He's put it past her. But when I heard the story for the first time, I was like, that's messed up. That's messed up. Like there were so many better ways that she could have went about it, but the first thing that she went to was, um, I gotta spank this out of you. Like, don't be stuttering around me or you gonna get a spanking every time. And that's crazy to me. So I think that you have Gen X that has this, first of all, there's this villainization of mental health issues. And that villainization is where people conflate mental health illnesses with neurodivergence. Neurodivergence is not the same thing as a mental health illness. We're not talking about anxiety, depression, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those things are usually developed through experiences, and most studies back that up. Neurodivergence is something that is developed at birth. When you have a child that is dealing with a level of neurodivergence, a lot of parents during that time didn't know how to handle it. So they went to the worst case scenarios in mitigating and trying to manage those things. So you have kids that grow up during that time period that grew up with ADHD, ADD, that probably were undiagnosed or were diagnosed, but the parents didn't have the right method when it came to those things. And then what you also need to take into consideration is that a lot of parents, if they didn't try to beat those things, that neurodivergence out of those kids, they use their children to profit their lifestyles,
Mm-hmm. You get a
which
check.
that which that gets to another aspect of neglect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have parents that genuinely see it as a curse. Like, I've had this conversation with my mom before when they diagnosed me with autism spectrum disorder when I was 7, and I didn't find out about this until I was in the ninth grade, so probably around 14, 15 years old. That's when I found out about it. My my mom treated it more like a curse than it was just a difference. I
Mm.
was different, you know? And because of that misunderstanding, that's where a lot of the anger issues came from. That's where a lot of the struggles in making friends, et cetera, right? And her method was more so pray this neurodivergence away versus let's come up with certain ways so that let's come up with certain environments so that you have a more tailored to level of parenting. And she did that to an extent, but she also sort of mixed it in with, I don't want the stigma of my child having autism, because that was something that was heavily stigmatized as well. And I think with mental health struggles, especially with Gen X definitely has been a lot more dismissive than actually in tune with their parents, with their children, I mean, and coming up with tailored methods in raising their kids, as opposed to, oh, this is how, this is like this one size fits all parenting method. Oh, you got depression, you'll get over it. No, find out why the kid got depression. Find out why the kid is anxious all the time. Find out why the kid has a stuttering problem. Find out these things, as opposed to just being like, oh, we didn't have these things growing up. So I don't know where he's getting all this from. It ain't coming from me. It might have just came from you. Because a lot of kids growing up are extremely traumatized by some of the things that their parents did to them. And the parents aren't ready to have that conversation clearly, which kind of touches back as to why you have so many kids that don't want anything to do with their parents as adults. First thing they do is throw them in the nursing home when they have to. They don't want nothing to do with it. So,
So, KJ, can I ask you a question?
of course,
Okay, you said you were diagnosed at 7 with. Have you been through therapy, or because you don't seem, I don't know, maybe I have the wrong idea, but
I
you
have.
don't seem like you have. You seem just, I don't know. You don't seem like you're on the spectrum, I guess, if that's the right terminology. I don't want to be
Yeah,
disrespectful at all.
on the spectrum is right
I'm just
terminology.
curious because you're so very well spoken, and not that someone who is on the spectrum not well spoken, but I don't know. You seem very outgoing and stuff like that. I don't know.
Don't let me fool you. I'm a homebody. I don't go out like that. I'm very introverted. My friend my friend group is very, very small, like micro.
Yeah, well, I have a small
Um,
friend group too, so yeah, don't
so
I understand.
one of the struggles that I had growing up is that I struggled with reading the room.
Okay.
I struggled with that really bad. So I would crack jokes at the worst time and it would just be very awkward, right?
Okay.
Or, somebody cracked a joke and I didn't get it in that moment. Now,
Okay.
part of the struggle with being neurodivergent is that I don't want the embarrassment of still trying to figure out what the joke means. So I'll just be like, "Oh, that's what you meant," and I still don't know what it means.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
like, I don't care to find out things like that. But part of being you have low functioning, you have mid functioning, you have high functioning. I would say I'm
That's
probably
with anything, yeah.
I would say that I'm probably like low to mid. I haven't gotten a reevaluation done in at all since I've been an adult. They did a reevaluation and they said that they found no signs allegedly, right? Um I have my moments. Uh
Yeah.
part of part of uh part of how I am now was developed through influence, mentorship, being under my uncle for a certain
Oh,
period of
okay.
time. And
Okay.
just being a history buff, learning about language, learning about certain things in history, and then just finding out better ways to articulate it, um, so that people understood where I was coming from. I could retain information pretty good. And that's actually a good perk of
It's an
being
asset.
on the
Yeah.
spectrum. Yeah, it's an asset. It has being autistic has pros and cons. Make no mistake about it.
So
But
you had that, you're autistic. Is that what the diagnosis was, or no? Or
if if
I
they
know there's
diagnose you if
Asperger's.
they diagnose you with they diagnosed me with that too, Asperger's. When they diagnose you with autism spectrum disorder, you autistic. All right.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. You got autism, bro. It really depends on whether or not it's low, mid, high functioning. Sometimes there's an in between on either or side. You got high functioning, then that means that you you can't talk to save your life in most case scenarios.
Yeah.
Like you need constant supervision.
Okay.
Somebody got an echo. Might be you, your cat.
What is it?
Echo.
Oh, sorry. That better?
Mic check 1 2. Yeah, we good. We good.
Check one,
Yeah.
two.
Yeah. So, but yeah, yeah. I
Okay, well, I just was
I've
curious
learned
because you
how
mentioned
I've
it,
ultimately learned how to suppress it. That's really what it is. So a lot of people
well,
can't pick up on it until I actually say it. Like, yeah, I'm on the spectrum too, and they were like, oh, I never would have noticed. I'm like, because I know how to. I figured out how to suppress it. Honestly,
is that a
so
positive thing, a healthy thing to suppress, or no?
probably not, but I've gotten so used to it that I don't really care to fix it. Honestly,
Well, maybe you've
so
just kind of overcome it, or they want to say that you grow out of things. There's certain things that, well, they'll grow out of it.
But can I chime in something? But Mick, I think that speaks, and let me get beyond it in here. I think that more speaks to what people think what it seems is not always what it is. And then we have a lot of people out here who are just like KJ is being public about that have just not been properly diagnosed.
Yeah,
So here we are thinking that KJ is an anomaly, but he's probably not.
I don't see see him as an anomaly. I see him as just a normal, thoughtful, thinking person. I mean, that's just, I would have never thought that he had, of course, I didn't know him as a child. I've subbed at school, you know, so I mean, I saw kids of all, you know, whatever, all types of children. So, I mean, I would have, hearing him talk, his thoughtfulness, his the way he explains things, his high level of thinking. I mean, I don't know. I would have, he seems as normal can be. I don't know. I mean, I don't, I don't have a preconceived notion of how people should be. I mean, I don't know. I just, you know, he converses. I mean, I don't know. Well, very well spoken.
But we only know it because he said it.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, it's like,
So that goes to show you that it's probably more people than we think.
yeah, probably
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. People that we may have dated,
Yeah,
married,
right.
brought into this world,
Yes.
brought us into this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't prejudge people. I get to know somebody before I, you know, before I make a decision, or, you know, whether I feel like they're a good person or not. But you know, I meet people and I get to know them, and, you know, and they tell me who they are. I don't tell them who they are. I mean, you know, they tell me who they are. I don't have problems with people. I can talk to anybody. I'll talk to anybody. You know, I don't care.
Yeah. Now, KJ, earlier, remember I was saying that, you know, we got a lot of, you know, we probably have people of previous generations who ignored the help, should have gotten the help, and they probably would have got diagnosed. And then you said, now we're talking.
Yeah, I heard you say that. Yeah.
So I think you may, did you have a question or anything you wanted to speak to about that, or like a retort or a response?
Yeah, more retort. People, like I said earlier, people treated neurodivergence and mental health problems with a stigma.
Mm-hmm.
So people, if they got diagnosed with it and the parents knew about it, that's what they wanted to be secretive about.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to, they're, especially in Black households, when you see a kid that's acting out, people are like, oh, he just need a whooping, or she just need a whooping.
Oh, he just being
That'll
a kid.
fix it. He just being a kid.
Yeah.
They push it to the side, and they come up with these one-off quote unquote solutions to fix the quote unquote fix the problem. When in actuality, it doesn't fix anything. It doesn't even manage it.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that, Meerkat. It's the generation. The generation, yeah, because when I was it's interesting, Meerkat. It's interesting, Meerkat and KJ, right? When I was a kid, even as kids, we looked at other kids that way, KJ.
Exactly.
When they was acting up, I'm talking about from a kid perspective. When they was acting up, oh, there's probably something wrong with them. You know what I'm saying? We used to throw that word around. You know, we used to throw the R word around a lot. You know what I'm talking about? Even I got to be careful with that.
As somebody that's neurodivergent, that's heavily in my vocabulary. I really don't care.
Right.
I'm in the gaming community, so we say worse than that. Trust me.
Right. I'll just say tarded. Right. That was something that we used to throw around as kids towards other kids. If they was acting a certain way, oh, he, she, blah blah blah. So even as kids, that's how we did. Now we got that from somewhere, right? Obviously, we've heard the adults at the time talk like that about other people and other people's children all the time. And we heard those things and we repeated those things. And then sadly, I wasn't one of those kids. I wasn't a bully. Yeah, I threw jokes at people. That's what we did. I mean, that's kind of the culture back in the day, right? You know, we was ragging on you. We was doing it dozens. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't bullying, though. You know what I'm saying? You crack on me, I crack on you. You cracked on my mother, I crack on your mother. You crack on. Now, cracking on the fathers is different because some of them didn't have their father, so that was a sensitive spot. You know what I mean?
Mom had the same father and didn't know it. You know. Mom, no, seriously, the true story. My mom had two little kids at school. She was in the reading lab. She was a teacher's aide. And there was two little kids that they threw down because one said, was talking about their dad, and the other kid didn't realize they had the same dad. And they
Wow.
were just fighting. Were fighting because one wasn't dad wasn't where he with this kid when he was supposed to be because
He
he
was
was
with
over
the
here
other
with the
one.
other kid, and they happened to be
Oh,
talking at school. And it was bad. My mom felt so sorry. My mom was real tenderhearted with kids, and she would try to do what she could with the kids that had struggling houses. But in the reading lab, and kids had to go to reading lab because they had trouble reading. But anyway, that I just wanted to throw that in too because some kids didn't have dads, but some kids had the same dad, didn't know it. Anyway,
now, Malik, you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Did you have a question on this topic since you represent Gen Zs?
No, but I did want to speak on the whole. I did want to speak on the whole like idea of like parents beating their kids to like conceal the kids' behavior.
Yeah,
The way I see it is like I'm saying. I'm going back to my original point. I still hold on to this idea because I think it's so true. I think that the enemy conditions us to live in condemnation, to hide it, to keep it down. So that's why I think that parents, whenever their kid exuded behaviors that necessarily weren't part of the social norm, they were conditioned in a way to keep it like under wraps. Otherwise, they get looked at as a weird family, or maybe they did. Oh, your kid is weird or whatever. They thought it was the end of the world that their kid was autistic. It was a terrible thing. So all they did was kind of like think of it as like a water pipe with too many holes busted out. You try to put all the holes together with with your finger and this hoodookie and whatever, and then it just comes out. Just bursts open. That's kind of how I see it. I think that the parenting of before, they say it was effective, but I mean, I can see the world as it is now. It wasn't. It clearly wasn't because of the fact that the way the kids are being raised now, and the ideas that people have or how they raise their kids. Now everyone's being coddled now. So before it was so extreme on one end. Now it's extreme softening. Cause that's the other extreme that has to be met to undo the extreme hardening.
all the
There's no balance. There's
gentle
no balance.
parenting. Yeah.
There's no balance. No one ever was able to figure out a balanced lifestyle, but that's obviously due to the fact that there wasn't Christ wasn't there. He wasn't included in any of their like family fundamentals. That's why there's no balance. So they had to go to extreme lengths to keep their retarded kid, you know, from making an embarrassment of them. There was no grace, there was no acceptance, none of that. It was either you're normal or you're not. If you're not normal, then get out of here. You know.
well, would that be Gen Alphas or Gen Zs?
I was talking about the parents who are responsible for that. So whatever gen is that, I mean, that's the ones I'm talking about.
Is it fair to say that every generation got a vice with the generation before them?
I mean, it's passed down. It's a domino effect. Everything that we've experienced is domino effect. You know, and the dominoes have been knocked. It's been knocked for a while. It's still going. We can't stop the effect, but we can at least acknowledge there's effect there, and we gotta do our part. How we can create our own domino set.
So at what point does the current generation take matters into their own hands and not really say that it was this generation's fault or whatever? When does that happen?
Now, shit, it's already
Oh, make
it already has.
make no mistake about it. We already have, but
Yeah,
we're not gonna
exactly.
sit up
Mm-hmm.
here. We're not gonna sit up here and pretend like we don't know where it started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not blaming nobody. I'm just saying, like all we're doing is acknowledging. We're calling out because every time I hear a debate, it's y'all generation is cooked. And it's like, well, y'all just cooked first. It's like you guys were first. We came after you. You know, like
Man,
we didn't do it to ourselves.
I heard it every generation. When I was a kid and the Gen X's became adults, that's what they said to the boomers.
Right. Well, the thing about it is that like, yes, all so okay. no one's pointing fingers, right? We already like me and KJ and people that have have common sense to a degree, which isn't many, by the way.
Yeah.
We can acknowledge many things that can be true at once and still take accountability. I take accountability for my part, and I'm sure people that are similar to me have as well.
Yeah.
But all the blame is putting all of the blame though, Fifth. You have to admit this is being put on us. No one's being blamed from before. They're saying, "Oh, you had strong men back in the day, and strong men took care of their wives, and this and that, and this other reality. Like we weren't even like this different reality. Like this is a damn MCU movie. It's like, bro, I never saw that though. I never saw that.
Well, Malik, man. So keep in mind my generation, right? There's a lot of women in my generation that are on the internet, talking all this junk about the men in their generation.
Yeah.
Right. So I get what you're saying about the Gen Zs, but I would tell you that my generation failed y'all too.
Yeah, anyone before us has failed us. Yes.
Yeah. So I know KJ's topic is about Gen X and Gen Z, but I think a lot of heat that Gen Zs have with Gen X's, really with Gen Ys.
Yeah.
So the thing is, a lot of men and women that we're talking about that are leading the charge on the subjects that KJ talked about as far as the feminism, modern feminism, and the current manosphere, or what is coined as the manosphere generation. KJ, the ages of those men are actually around my age. Now, some are older too. They're in their 50s. And do you know that a lot of those men, even with that ideology, they're married men. There's a lot of married men in that world. Now, there's a lot of unmarried women on the feminist route that is teaching these Gen Z women who are also unmarried, just like them, this ideology, and it's just getting worse and worse, right? And I'm saying that on both sides, right? So I would say that even we as someone in Generation Y, it's not that a lot of us failed Gen Zs. It's just that we were going through our own mess.
Shoot, whatever, let it happen.
Yeah. But you get what I'm saying, Malik, right?
No, I totally get it.
Yeah.
But KJ already said that y'all are like the middle child that no one really talks about. That's kind of like what he already said. So like, yeah, I totally forgot about y'all, low-key. He's kind of right about that.
hey, he's right about it. Although it's kind of like sad, but he's kind of right. We're like the middle child
that no one ever talks about ever.
But peep game, we're a middle child that got in trouble, right? And created an offspring that also got undetected too. So when you're trying to find these, for the men and women trying to find each other, right? You need to ask how old these women and men's parents, what age they are. You may find that they are Gen Y.
Well, my mother is 58, I think. So what?
Gen X. Yeah. Well, you said 58?
Yeah.
So she was born
in 60
late 60s, right?
Yeah, late 60s, yep.
Yeah, she's like the beginning of she would be at the early part of the Gen X, but she was raised by, like, she's still very old school. I mean, would you say she's old school like the boomers?
Hell no. She is so, her personality, and my friend, like Kurt, like my mom is not like, it's so hard to explain her, bro. I'm not gonna like explain it because it's a really long story.
Okay.
But like, she might have been born back then,
Yeah.
But her personality now, she might as well be one of us.
Really?
Yeah, well, okay. I don't say that in a good way.
You
I
mean
say
like
that,
Gen Z or my generation?
nah, Gen Z, for real. I'm talking
Really?
about like, she had, listen, bro, first of all, okay, I'm not even gonna, my mom is a good mother. I'm gonna say that first. She's a great
Yeah.
mother, love her to death. Me and her are still, like, me and her are closer now than we ever have been. Even when I lived with her. Like, we weren't really that close because I didn't want to be around her. But she is definitely self-absorbed in her own like problems. I'll just say that. And I definitely wasn't a Gen X mindset. That's more of like a today mindset, you know? So that's what I mean by like she's more like us
Yeah.
in that sense. But it's not a good thing, you know?
Now,
But that's probably the only thing that I can say because she's a good person. She just has like that's a red flag, that's a flag that she has that's not green.
now, beyond that, I may be a little biased to Gen Xers because I have openly confessed that I like women who are older than me.
Okay.
When you was on one of my panels, your reaction. This is the first time you ever heard it. I think. Shout outs to Black Diamond, lovely Mila's friend.
Yeah.
She asked me a question about would you date a woman 10 years older? I said, Diamond, I'll date a woman 20 years older. And you said, and you said what?
bro, be dibble dabbling with the Cougars, bro.
And you know what? And he said, he was like, Fifth. He said, Fifth, when you turn 60, how old she gonna be?
90. No,
Yeah.
it should be 60. Should be like late 70s, 80s.
Yeah, you're not Fifth. You're not flirting with a 6-year-old. You're flirting with death. That's where you are. She's about to die, bro.
A caretaker.
You're flirting with death.
Hey, you know how. Well, anyway, bad analogy. I was going to talk about Thanos and his love interest, but anyway,
don't talk about that. No way. That's way different, bro.
So death,
very different.
So death, flirting with death, literally.
Literally flirting with death. Okay.
well, here's the thing.
Bro lost his crush to Deadpool.
Nah, he did numerous times.
Hey, when I was younger, and let me tell you something. Amongst my circle, right? Amongst my circle, I remember I used to talk about this when I was in my 20s, right? And they was like, hold on. They was like, you'll go 20 up. They was like, when you be 40, she'll be 60. And then somebody was like, well, yeah, when you be 60, she'll be dead. So it was like, you may want to rethink that 20 thing. I mean, I'm not going to go 20, but I was just basically telling Black Diamond that I have a range. Now, here's my caveat, right? Well, here's the reason why I use 60. Because I was talking about women like Angela Bassett. Now there's not many women who are Angela Bassett's age looking like that, right? But the ones that do exist, my whole thing was I didn't want to be on the internet saying that I wasn't going to date that just in case something came along that looked like Angela Bassett. That's all I was saying. That's all.
Hey. Don't hate the game. Don't hate the play. Hate the game.
I'm just saying, KJ. If Lisa Ray and Nia Long get 60, I don't want them thinking that they can't get at a brother. That's all I'm saying. Those types, obviously not them, but
I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. Them Cougars know what they doing. They seasoned vets.
Yo, listen, them older women to get you right, boy.
I'm telling you.
They will get you right.
I asked
Nope.
my mama one. I asked my mama one day. I was like, "Yo, hypothetically, if I brought somebody home that was like 15 years older than me at the minimum, and in so many ways, without saying it, she would snatch that heifer up. My mama is not. My mama not for that. My mama not for none of that. She said, "You better not be bringing somebody that's old enough to be your auntie."
Uh,
Like because this is funny. My auntie and my mom got the same birthday, but they 10 years apart.
mm,
So if I was to bring home somebody that was in their 40s,
mm.
I might have to feel what that belt feel like at my big age. My mom is gonna
You,
light me up. She not having it.
man, KJ,
She not having none of that, dog.
I'm not even gonna hold you. When I was in my 20s, I wanted them 40s.
Man.
Hey, I'm gonna tell a real story here without giving out names and telling all my business, right? So at my job, right? But it was at a different location. I could transfer my job several places. So at a particular location, there was a woman, right? And she was about 15 years older than me. Oh, I wanted her. I wanted
Wanted
her
her
bad.
bad.
Oh, I had to have her.
She was a pretty young thing, wasn't
Yeah.
she? POT, not PYT, but
Let me tell you this. This
I can
woman
have
said
you, POT.
she never told me her exact age, but she told me the range. She said she was between 40 and 50. At the time, I was 31.
Mm.
So she yo, man, that was a beautiful woman, man. I swear. And still is to this day, you know. But yeah, the age gap, oh, I mean, things didn't go the way it went. But she said the age gap wasn't the issue, you know. But anyway. But I'm just saying. So sometimes maybe I could be a little, less harsh on the Gen X's a little bit, because I still want to see what the Gen X is
Yeah,
about.
because you like
Nah,
them.
be harsh on anybody who needs to be harsh
You
on.
like them.
Nah, freak that.
That's why.
Nope.
Wait,
You
what did you
We're
like
say,
being
them.
harsh on
Malik?
anybody.
Huh?
Nope. Nah, we're being harsh on anybody. I don't care. People
Listen,
love to clown
I don't
us,
mind a
bro.
woman that's older than me, but listen,
Sure. I
listen.
mind
If
it.
you
The hell?
listen, if you pass your 30s, you ain't finna mother me. That's what we not gonna do.
Well, of course
Yeah,
not.
exactly. Yeah,
Of
you
course
know what?
not.
And
Yeah.
you got older women that'll start treating you like you they kid, and it's like, hold on,
Nah, man.
who you talking to, ma'am?
No, you no
I still run things in here. Come on now,
no you no you no you right no you
it's
right
my
about
house.
that. You right about that because one played like she was gonna run it, and I was like, nah, I'm a grown man. I'm a grown man. I may be younger than you, but I'm a grown man.
That's what I'm saying. Well, it's like, why take the risk in dating an older woman with that mindset, bro? A lot of them had that mindset. The
Well,
hell?
I'm not. I'm not. Well, see, here's the thing. Beyond, I'm not talking about with that mindset, right?
A lot of them do, though.
A lot, yes, yes. A lot of them do. Tracy Ellis Ross is one of them.
My gosh, she's ugly, bro.
Publicly,
My goodness.
publicly, because
She's
she
so
said
fine, but she's so stupid. I'm sorry.
She really is, bro.
she's a goofy, but she said straight up that men her age she don't rock with because the younger ones she can kind of tell them what they do. Now that
Bro,
wouldn't work
nah.
over here.
Imagine a man saying that, bro. No
No,
way. That's crazy.
no. Not even that. Not even that. The way I just heard, I physically heard Jess push back, bro, on that. If Jess was here, oh my God,
Oh, the
that was in a
feminist
whole
part of her.
different rabbit hole.
Tracy Ellis
I
Ross
wish
is
she
what's the
was here,
problem
man.
with.
Yeah, because Tracy's a famous feminist.
Nah, man. I don't care. Push back on what? Don't get me started on that, man. Like if Jess was here, I swear to goodness, like if she had any contention with that, like if it was like if a man said that, it should be treated with the same amount of disgust. Like who
Yeah, but
says that? You know?
she would for the most part on the generation talk, she would agree with y'all. But once we start talking to male female dynamics, that's where her Metal Gear Solid alert's gonna come on.
My goodness, like Snake.
Yeah,
My goodness.
yeah. So that's when that would come on. You know what I mean? But yeah, because that's. But I think even then, you know, she surprised us one day. I think she's got to think about that too. I think she says that
she gets her contrarian alert. That's what it is.
Yeah, but I will say one thing. I think she does have an issue with some of that on the if an older woman feels like she could just run a younger man, I think she's got a thing with that too, because Jess still keeps in line with her age group in terms of that part. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't know, but I would say this, right? When it comes to the dynamics, right? I think a lot of things, and even I get agree with a lot of the things that your generation agrees with too. We have been on panels, right? And we've talked to male, female dynamics. You gotta go.
See y'all later. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thank you. Good night. See you.
Bye.
All right. So and then I'm gonna wrap this show up pretty quick, pretty soon. But yeah, so the three of us have been on panels, right?
Yep.
And even though I may be older than y'all, there's a lot of things that we even agreed on when it comes to the modern dating woes. So it goes to show you that multiple generations are dealing with certain things at the same time. Me being older than y'all two. But just because I'm older than y'all two doesn't mean that I ain't got goofies in my group. I got a lot of goofies in my group. A lot of them. And I think that's the part I don't understand, because my thing is, I'm trying to meet a woman who's old school like I am. That's hard to do. So we got these Gen Y women that act like Gen Alphas. They're grown kids. What did you say, KJ? They're just old. They're just aged adults. They're not necessarily like mature.
Grown children.
Grown children.
Or adult kids. That's what I say.
Or adult kids.
And I got that from my uncle too. Like you have adults that haven't matured past the age of 14.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, because we've had, we've come encounter with women who are in their 50s talking nonsense. So what's the excuse for that? And I remember, KJ, one time, and I had to let you cook on this one. Someone got real ignorant, and then you was like, "How am I at 24 able to know right from wrong better than you is at 30 something?"
Yo, who was? He was talking to
he was talking to Candy. Candy.
Yeah, Candy was crazy, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Candy was wild.
Yeah. And Candy would be at the top of she's like I don't even think she's not Gen Y either. She might be at the top of the Z's. I don't know. But KJ said that. And then that was more than one. That wasn't the only time. KJ had to do that about another person that came on the panel at Big Goofy.
Yeah, age really means jack squat. I mean, what age did God have Jeremiah go out? He was like a teenager.
Right.
Like 14 years old, going out there preaching the gospel and telling people what God talking to him about, Like, age really means nothing. Okay, hold on. Age means something to a degree, for sure. Sure.
Yeah.
But we're talking about, like, intellectual, like, common sense.
Right.
Like, a 15-year-old can absolutely call out someone who's, like, 30 for being stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're doing something wrong,
a 15-year-old could call out anybody at any age for being stupid.
Yeah, morally incorrect.
We put limitations on how younger people address older generations when they're clearly wrong, because we put this automatic pretense of you supposed to respect your elder. No.
Nah, forget that.
Hey,
respect.
I respect my grandmother because she's a respectable person. I trust and believe. If either of my grandmothers were just piece of dog water human beings, you think I would still be in contact with it? I promise you I wouldn't. I promise you I wouldn't.
You check this out, KJ. Let me ask both of y'all a question up here. This may shift it a little bit, and then I need to end it, but let me shift it this way. If they could pass a law to lower the voting age to 16, would you support it?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we got that out the way, because I get what you're saying about a 15-year-old being able to call out an adult, but still a 16-year-old is still too young to vote.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
16-year-olds, teenagers ain't got it all figured out. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, when the kid is right, don't make it seem like they wrong for being right.
Yeah.
That's my beef.
Yeah.
Because you got a whole lot of grievances that teenagers have with their parents and with older folks, period, that's valid. But they not ready to have that conversation because it's just the idea. A teenager being right, correcting an adult? Nah, never.
Never.
I couldn't imagine.
Oh, the humanity. Oh gosh, no.
These kids
Like
are
a
so
damn,
disrespectful. No, they're
like a
right,
damn
and you
planes
just can't
crashing.
handle it.
Like a damn planes crashing. Like it's the end of the world. Oh, yeah, cut by a 12-year-old. Oh, because you're wrong. That's duh. You know?
These kids are so disrespectful nowadays. Who raised these? Yo, you did. You did. Now what?
I mean, that's the thing about kids. That's the thing about teenagers, right? If you're a 15-year-old right now, then how old is your parent?
You're not gonna sit up here and act like these parents don't be playing in their kids' faces, talking about like just going off,
Yeah.
giving them every reason to cuss them out, but they got to have the self control of Zeus, of Socrates,
If you don't, you're a
to
bad
not
kid.
lash out on you, even though they got every reason in the world to really tell you off because you going too far, you dragging it. Like, people talking about how disrespectful the kids are, but ain't nobody talking about how disrespectful the parents are to the kids. Like, why is that? Why do we always look that over? People refuse to acknowledge that disrespect doesn't just come out the blue.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
When we're talking about disrespect, we're talking about people that have grown up in areas where they can't even express themselves. So now they're in a spot where it's like every time I try to express myself, I'm being used as this moniker of, oh, I'm not supposed to be speaking unless I'm spoken to. When I have a right to defend myself, especially when I know that people are talking nothing but BS on my name. I have the right to defend myself. And that idea is just so taboo to most adults, especially elders now. And Gen X is becoming a new generation of elders, and they're upholding the same principles that they had a problem with. But let's be honest, they didn't have the nuts to actually speak out about it.
Nope.
As a witness of the Gen X, usually that came out later on in their life. You know, when their parents were like near their deathbed. You know, I would say maybe this generation does a better job of calling things out earlier. The Gen X's probably just took a longer time to do it, but they definitely called it out while perpetuating it at the same time. Sadly.
Yeah.
But I will say,
they got a whole lot of nerve trying to tell their parents off, like, oh, you did this, you did that, but you did the same thing to your kids, and you still can't apologize for it.
I'm gonna tell you something right now. I know some Gen Xers that had a lot to say about the boomers because they didn't honor them, and then just for the early Z's and to kind of go at them too for being critical about their parenting. And it kind of goes to Beyonce's point, right? Is that, you know, we all have things about the generation before us, right? But then now when it's our turn, you sometimes you look back and you're like, you know what? They was right. They may not have been right about everything, but they was right. Has
Yeah.
anybody had that moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of times.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you have to kind of acknowledge when you're young growing up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you have a parent or a sister or whatever older than you, considerably older than you, right? They're
Yeah.
definitely gonna have knowledge of an adult for sure, like wisdom
Mm-hmm.
to some degree, right?
Yeah.
The problem is that we give them way too much credit,
Mm-hmm.
where we think that growing up they have everything figured out and they can't do no wrong. So saying
Mm-hmm.
that they're wrong is like a very taboo thing to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's what KJ is saying. Is like, I have no problem admitting that, yeah, I'm just a 12-year-old and you're 39. I mean, okay, sure, you might know something that I don't. I'm not gonna be, cocky and kind of like be a dick about it. But if I know for a fact, and I'm obviously gonna be led by, scripture ideally, right? And I know that what you're teaching me is wrong, I shouldn't be coerced to following your lead whenever it's leading me toward the path that I can't follow.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids have that intuition because the Holy Spirit is with them their entire lives. Kids have kids have a different kind of intuition than we do. They have a gut feeling and it's usually pure. So they have intuition that it's not right. And it's not ruled by like, feelings or whatever. They just have an intuition in them that's saying, yeah, Dad, I don't think this is right. I think you're wrong. They should lead with that. Right? And if I can see it from their point of view, or first of all, I have to have the humbleness and wisdom to see it that way, first of all, which a lot of parents don't. They don't have the humbleness. They think they're too high. They're not humble enough. If you have the humbleness, you'll be able to see it from their point of view and not treat it as, oh, you're just a kid, staying in a kid's place. It's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Let
Mm-hmm.
me stop for a second, listen to my kid, see what he's saying. Oh, is that what you're seeing? Now I get it. Let's talk about it. Rather than just treating like you're just like this anomaly, like you're a bad kid. That's the problem.
You gotta.
Is it easy for the three of us to talk like this because we don't have any children yet?
Well, I've seen it with my niece and nephew, and obviously I know it's not my kids. I get it, but I've been around them for many years in their early years, right? And I've seen my sister and brother-in-law handle situations, and obviously they're not like the the overall monolith of how to handle your kids, right? Because they all have their flaws, right? But I have a pretty good idea of how I would look at it if I had kids. And yes, it is easier said than done because experience, requires experience to some degree. It's definitely easier said than done. But knowing what I know now, and learning to be more humble every single day, right, is these talks and talking about it and getting it out, right? It builds us up as men so that when we get to that point where these talks are gonna like come in handy, this like information that we're displaying out, it is gonna be a test to okay, we're either gonna fall in line with what we believe, or we're gonna just fall back on the conditioning that we grew up in.
Okay. I'll rock with that. KJ, before we close out, you have any last questions? And I'm gonna get to the quick 10 questions, the final
Let's
round.
do. Let's do the rapid fire.
All right. All right. So these are yes or no or short answers, right? For those who are y'all know about these. So it's been a while since Beyond has been a part of these, but let me go ahead and get these questions off, all right? So the first one, which generation is more adaptable, Gen X or Gen Z?
Gen Z.
Who do you think? What do you
Yeah,
think?
Gen Z.
Gen Z? Okay. Uh hmm. Gen X is definitely adapted to some things. I guess I'll Jesus.
You said more adaptable.
Yeah, more adaptable. Gen X or Gen Z?
Yeah, it's Gen Z.
Gen Z. Okay. I'll say Gen Z, but not because they're just better. It's because they just don't have an option. So it's kind of just where they're at. So they have no choice but to adapt.
Fair enough.
You know. Second one, which generation has the stronger work ethic? Gen X or Gen Z?
Gen X.
Yeah, Gen X for sure.
Gen X, I agree. Which generation communicates better? Gen X or Gen Z?
What was the question?
Which generation communicates better? Gen X or Gen Z?
Gen Z.
Damn.
I'm sorry, Gen. Excuse my French. Gen X can't communicate for shit. I'm sorry, they can't. They can't, bro.
Well, actually, this going by what we talked about earlier. Yeah, I'm saying Gen Z for sure.
Okay.
But nah, if it was like, well, yeah, Gen Z for sure. Gen Z.
Out of the okay, Gen Z. Almost said my generation, but which generation handles criticism better, Gen X or Gen Z?
Repeat that question one more again.
Which generation handles criticism better, Gen X or Gen Z?
Gen X can't handle criticism.
I agree, Gen X.
You said can or can't?
Can.
Oh, Gen X for sure.
Yeah, I would say Gen X. I'm gonna say Gen X, even over mine, definitely. Which generation is more financially responsible, Gen X or Gen Z?
Gen X.
Gen X.
And I say that begrudgingly.
Yeah, I'll say that. Which generation understands relationships better, Gen X or Gen Z?
Probably Gen Z because we're more adaptable.
Yeah, probably Gen Z.
I'll say Gen Z with a question mark, but I'll say Gen Z. Who is more likely to say back in my day? Gen X.
Gen X.
Gen X for sure.
Absolutely.
Back in my days, sonny.
I had to crawl on my belly to school for 5 miles. No, I didn't.
Back in my day, we didn't have any 6-hour delays or off days at school. We had to walk in the snow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had to walk with no shoes and no feet. What? What are you talking about?
That's a silent generation. That's a silent generation.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. We used to walk to school with no feet.
Okay. Yeah.
Who is more out of touch with the other generation, Gen X or Gen Z?
Gen X. For sure.
What do you think, KJ? Who's more out of touch with each other, Gen X or Gen Z?
I'd probably say Gen X.
Gen X is out of touch? Yeah, I'm going to agree. Can Gen X and Gen Z actually understand each other, or will there always be a generation gap? Well, it's kind of a...
Well, that's too nuanced for either or question.
I would say yeah, there is a way, but it would require an extreme event. Extreme things always put humans back in place. That's how life is, man. You know, you have to have bad things happen before good things happen. That's how it goes.
I think that is eventful and situational, so it's kind of hard for me to answer that. I'll say I have to kind of give it a 50-50 answer. I would say it's a combination of a generation gap and also a combination of understanding each other.
True.
One word. What's the biggest things? One word answer, right? Or it could be multiple words, but what's the biggest thing separating Gen X from Gen Z?
Probably. I probably put it down to just communication. Honestly.
What do you think? Beyonda?
One word to describe.
Yeah. What's separating the two generations?
Pride.
That's a good answer.
What's coming to me is wisdom.
Okay.
I thought pride too, Beyonda, but on both sides actually, not just like Gen X having it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. But then also understanding, also accountability comes to my mind too.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm also thinking about my generation as well with this, about how Gen Y's, yeah. Well, okay. Well, brothers, I appreciate, hey, KJ, I appreciate the topic. Too bad we didn't have it on like the best turnout.
Hey,
But I want
I'm
you to
satisfied.
I
Yeah,
want you to
that
get
was
ready.
good show.
But I want you to get ready when I come back. So beyond the I'm TikToking this Thursday, but I go on vacation this Saturday,
Okay.
and I'm gonna be out the country. So Fifth at Night will resume because I'm also gonna take Labor Day off since that falls on a Monday. I want everybody to take that off, actually, not just me. So Fifth at Night will come back September 14th. But I'll TikTok before that. I'll let y'all know when I come back. Okay.
Bet.
But I appreciate the topic, brother. This is what I want y'all brothers to get ready to talk about when we come back. We touched on the Pandora's topic. That will be the topic.
Oh, I gotta wait 3 weeks for that.
I know. I'm sorry, but because I want that topic when everybody's gonna go. It's perfect when more people, especially Jess, because that was Jess's thing about why are they Pandoras and why is she Bobby? You see what I'm saying? That was inspired because of her.
Man.
So if I'm gonna have that topic, I need it when she's back.
But
Because
also,
fair enough.
Yeah, go ahead.
Don't forget about my. Well, you're not gonna forget about it because I know you. So KJ, my next idea that I had, which you weren't here Thursday. Thursday was lit, bro. I'm telling you, it was lit. Who receives more social acceptance for remaining single later in life, men or women?
Well, that TikTok topic is this Thursday. You ready? You ready for
Thursday?
that?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna make that this Thursday. The exact title is "Who Gets Judged More for Being Single, Men or Women?" So that's this Thursday.
That's gonna be a doozy. That's gonna be a doozy.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I guess I'll see y'all Thursday then.
That'll be this Thursday. But
I love doozies. Love them.
But Fifth at Night will come back September 14th. I'll be the TikToks will come back after this week. The TikToks will come back September 3rd. That might change, but I'll let y'all know. I'll definitely let y'all know.
That's a bet.
So I'm gonna be back in the country before that day. So, but yeah. So now I appreciate the topic, KJ. Shout outs to Meerkat for coming on. I appreciate you, beyond all. You know how we do.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So, I want to personally thank y'all, man. Y'all have this is episode 18. We've made it to 18 episodes with this show in particular. I appreciate y'all joining me on this Monday
episode did
journey.
I join? Episode 8.
Oh, your first episode, was it 8?
I want to say it was episode
Mine
8.
had to be like 2 or 3, right?
Nah. Or yours was probably 2 or 3.
Nah, Beyond was number 1.
The first one? No, I couldn't have been. Cause Mila had already y'all had already had like a week after, right?
Nah, you came on the same time Lena came on. That was episode 1.
Lena? That was a grip ago. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That was a while ago. Holy moly.
Exactly. So that was the only time Lena was on the show. And yeah, you were on that first episode. The first episode was Jess was episode 2. Yeah, I had Jess the second week.
Nice.
And then Jess has been on ever since. So
I want to say it was around episode 6,
You
between
came on
6
around.
and 8.
You was between 6 and 8 because I had you were coming on the TikToks more, and I was like, let me get this brother on Monday. You know what I mean?
Man,
I said let me get this brother on Monday, but I had to make sure the temperature was good between you and you know who before I brought you on because
man, listen.
hey.
I have zero love lost with Jess. We just disagree on almost everything.
Well, you know
But
what? I want to thank the two of y'all for being on together and still keeping it, Switzerland at some points.
of course,
Because on the TikToks in the beginning, I
yeah, we
was
had
like,
beef. We had beef in the beginning. We definitely had beef.
Hey, you remember sometimes I would get on the mic and I'd be like, y'all too, man. What's up with y'all, man?
We had some beef on TikTok, man.
Yeah.
We had some beef.
Well, it was stuff I didn't know. And then it came out during one of the streams. I was like, oh, they're familiar with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met her in passing on a different panel. Now I had no idea.
It was last year?
Definitely last year. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is insane. Time be flying.
Yeah.
I don't know if I met her on somebody else's panel or if she came on my panel for the first time when I met her. And we actually didn't disagree on one thing. And I don't know. Like the more I got to know her, the more that I heard her heard her perspective on things. That's when we started to like disagree almost on everything. But it was like, eh, she's a wonderful woman. Don't make no mistake about it. We just disagree on a lot of things. That's it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So it was just a matter of making that distinction of being able to, remain cordial while still disagreeing at the same time, and that takes time because you meeting somebody fresh on the internet. You don't know them like that. So
No, that's true. That's true. And there's shout outs to the people that do still come on my panels on Thursday or Monday, and they don't agree with everything. They don't have to, but we could, like I said,
yeah,
still have a common ground on at least on the respect thing.
couple of things.
Even if we don't agree on everything, but still know to have the conversation. My platform is just having the conversation. It's not about you have to agree with me, but we can have the conversation and then see what perspectives. Because let me tell you something, I may learn something.
Yeah,
within a disagreement, I may learn something.
Not. That's it.
Or I may not. And shout outs to J Dub. Me and J Dub disagree on a lot of things.
Everything for him.
But she comes on and still supports, and I appreciate that. You know what I mean? So that goes to show you that, most people don't support people they don't agree with. The turning point. So that has to say something right there. Okay.
Yeah.
It boils down to the treatment. So shout outs to everyone who has come on this show specifically, just sticking with this show specifically thus far, and helping this show be a success. This show is for the people. This show is not a show without the people. I say it all the time. So let's get to the final thoughts. And Beyond, what's your final thought on today's episode, man? And then I'm gonna get to
the show is always good. I never have really a bad experience here.
Thank you.
Last Thursday, I was annoyed, not necessarily at you, but old dude. My goodness.
Jesus, brother. Me and you talked about that. Oh my God.
Yeah, he pissed me off. But it's always a good show. Shout out to KJ. Shout out to you. Also, R.I.P. Hayden Panettiere.
Stop.
R.I.P. to her. Household name, man. Household name growing up. Remember the Titans, Heroes, all that stuff.
Clear.
I'm no good. I'm no good. I forgot about it. Come on, man.
Hey, brother. So I'm glad you brought that up because I'm gonna give her a rest in peace too. She was 36. I think she was a talented, young, pretty woman rather. And she was one of the I'm gonna just she was one of the queens of that show, brother. Claire was fire on Heroes. Heroes was an era. Heroes came out when a lot of stuff on the super power market wasn't popping at the time. Heroes was so good that even DC and Marvel was like, okay, now hold up now. You ain't about to be beating us. You know what I'm saying? The Petrelli family. You know? That whole acting squad. Yo, they was Sila. They was killing it on that show, man. The original Heroes, not when they brought it back, but the original Heroes.
This one might hit harder than Cameron Boyd. I'm not gonna lie.
I have my thoughts on this, but it's like that's a totally different conversation. I have thoughts on this, but I'm this whole Hayden Panettiere thing. But
I remember seeing that on Instagram, bro. Every time I hear about somebody's death, it's always on Instagram, bro. It's like it's more than likely from Complex News because I don't follow TMZ.
Yeah,
but it was like, yo.
Yeah, RP to her though. Remember the Titans though? That was my first movie ever seen her, man.
Yeah, she was a little kid.
Yep.
She knew her sports, knew her football.
Yeah, Bring It On. Well, that movie kind of sucked, but it was still funny. It was funny though.
She was on Bring It. Oh, she was on the other Bring It On.
Yeah, there's like 3 of them.
Okay, yeah, she's not. Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute.
Not the OG one.
Not the Gabrielle Union one. No,
that one was the best one.
Yeah, but yeah, she was on that. John Tucker Must Die. That was her movie.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Nah.
Wasn't Hayden John Tucker Must Die?
Nah, that was
Who was that?
Brittany Snow.
Brittany Snow?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Oh, you may be right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you right. My bad.
I know my blondes. I know them. I know them all. You know what I'm saying? I knew about her too. You said what?
Well, Hayden was on Scream 5 and 6, right?
I never watched those, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, she was also on what is it called? Good Christian the country show, Good Christian Singers or something.
You're talking about Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville. That's what that was called.
It's called Nashville. Yeah.
Okay, Nashville. Okay, yeah, she was. Yeah, she was on that. But yeah, Heroes, man. That's my girl from Heroes, man. Claire Bear. That's Claire Bear. Rest in peace, Claire Bear, man.
RP to her. Yep.
Let me drop a bomb out of respect. This is a bomb out of respect for her career. Man.
RP to her for sure. And yeah, I don't know, KJ, man. Cameron Boyce. When I heard about that, I was sick. You know what I'm saying?
I don't even know who that is.
He was
You wouldn't know who that is. He's in our
yeah, that's our generation.
He was in our age. Yeah, if he's still alive.
Well, you think he was on I think he was on Hey Jesse on Disney Channel. And,
okay.
Did a couple
he was on
of
Grown Ups
Disney
1 and 2, I think, as well. You know Grown Ups?
Yep.
He was on Grown Ups?
Yeah, he was one of the kids. He was the kid of Adam Sandler, I think.
Was he the middle? How many kids? He had 3 boys, right?
He was out of the mid. Yeah, he was out of the middle.
He's the middle because dad had a little girl too. So yeah, he's the middle child. Yeah.
Was he the one that was like, "Can I get that Voss water"?
I don't remember the scene.
Oh, that might have been the older one. That might have been the oldest son. Yeah, but no, I remember Grown Ups. But all I got to do is okay.
He was not talented though. He would have been like a really big deal, like a big actor if he was alive today, for sure.
Man.
Kind of like River Phoenix, you know who that is?
No, who that?
You know Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah.
He had a brother older than him, and he was really like he would have been like better than Matt Damon type stuff, but he died.
Dang.
Yeah. He was really good.
That's a lot to say, Matt Damon, a legend.
He was real good. He was real good.
He was tight. Yeah, he was good.
Real intelligent actor.
He had a seizure in the middle of the room.
Jesus.
But yeah, I gotta get out of here. You know KJ on all platforms, underscore between the T and the K. You feel me?
You got a
Fifth.
final thought real quick?
Oh yeah. Gen X, do better, be better. Gen Z, stop being a bunch of sissies. That's my final thought.
There we
Um,
go.
yeah. Uh, yeah. I'll see you Thursday, 5th and beyonder.
All right, all
Okay.
right, all right,
Peace out, y'all.
everyone. I,
Later,
appre-
later.
I appreciate everyone for coming on. Fifth at night every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 Central. Fifth at night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 Central. But I'm going on vacation. So Fifth at night will resume. September 14th. But make sure you check out the TikTok at my TikTok at Fifth General TV, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 Central. All right. And see y'all later. Peace. I don't have a final thought, but peace and God bless. All right. See y'all next time.